Hello, and welcome to the Metalheads podcast. My name is George.
This is Buke.
This is Jay.
And our friend Matt is joining us in the studio today. Hey, Matt.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
You may know Matt from when I was out with my daughter, and you did your retrospective musical trip.
That's right. That's right, which is no longer posted, by the way. I took it down because
okay.
all you fuckers were busting my balls so much.
I saved it.
But yes, Matt and I go way back, and Matt was the singer on the Sons of Destiny songs that
Yes.
those were the ones that didn't suck at the very end. So
No, they were epic.
That's awesome.
Epically awesome.
I didn't realize this. I didn't know this was a famous man with us. That's awesome, dude.
yeah,
Oh, I wouldn't say famous, but
infamous.
I appreciate it.
Pronounced exactly that way, too.
That's
George,
correct,
'cause
right? Famous?
It's
Yes.
like the opposite of famous.
It's the Three Amigos version.
That's right.
He's not
I think
just
it's-
famous. He's infamous.
That's correct.
I think it's actually unfamous.
Yes. So Matt's sitting in. He seems a little shy today, so he may not
no.
talk as much as we want him to. But
I'm not shy. I'm just watching George over here get redder and redder.
as it gets warmer and warmer in here, it's hot as fuck out today.
I just went out to get those beers, and it was 105 degrees.
Damn.
Yes,
Keeping them
it's
outside.
warm.
All right. Well, we've got the AC on down here in the basement where we're trying to hide from the heat, but it's just getting warmer and warmer, particularly with the beer.
Yeah, well, but then you get number, and then you can't feel it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to pimp something before we get started. We just had an amazingly awesome interview with Joel Violette of Thrawsunblat.
Awesome guy. Awesome.
Violetta.
And we'll be getting to that in a little bit, but we've got a bunch of stuff we want to talk about first before we get into that. If you listen to the last episode, then you know it was our mid-year episode where we had John and Will on, and we all discussed our top 10 or even 11 picks for the first half of 2015. I think I'm not the only one to be able to say that after walking away from that, I went and discovered a bunch of new bands that were on other people's lists.
Yeah, absolutely. No, dude, let's talk it out.
Yeah, so what did we learn from each other?
Well, okay, I'll just jump in and go first, dude. First and foremost, and you'd mentioned this to us previously, George, so I don't know why I took my time with it, but I found what is potentially my album of the year, or at least it's fighting for it, which is Bell Witch. Damn, dude. Like, really, dude, that was like one of the things on your list, and it was like 11 on your list that just... I have listened to that so many times since then. Also, I knew Buke liked him, but Will got me started on Gruesome. That's super killer.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I got more too, but let's hear what some of you guys got, and then we'll go from there.
All right. Buke, do you have anything that you learned from other people?
Yes, I'm pulling it up on my phone right now. Will had this on his list. Ex Genesis.
Yeah, it was on my list too.
Yeah, and on Jay's list also. Amazing. It fits right into the genre and the style that I like a lot.
It's a great record.
Yeah,
dude.
amazing record.
I wasn't part of that. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you one thing I learned from another artist, an old guitarist of mine, Mike. I'm struggling with his name. He introduced me to this band called Pagan's Mind. I don't know if you guys have heard of them.
Yeah, I know them.
Sure.
Nils K. Rue, their singer, has got a set of pipes on him that just drives me crazy. I listen to every song they've written, ISIS, and I started that like I was going to say a list, but I know ISIS. I'm horrible with names, but I put them on shuffle, and I just can listen to every track. I mean, they're amazing.
They are a good band.
They have this alien, like, the aliens brought us to what we are type message.
They ought to get up. They ought to get together with Matt Pike then. You know, have a little,
Right. Hell
with his-
yeah.
with his,
And not only that, their guitarist is phenomenal. I mean, everything about these guys is just, like, amazing. I don't know if it's Ronnie Tegner is their guitarist, right? This guy right here?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's keyboards. they're all very talented, and that's who I've been getting into lately. I'm kind of like I set up on one band and I ride them real hard type guy. Pagan's Mind, Opeth. You know, if it sounds good, I'm gonna listen to it until the CD breaks or the album breaks. Sorry, just throwing in my input.
Sure.
I don't know what to do.
No.
Here.
You know, I got one more. Actually, I got one more I got to mention, and it's an opposite. And I'm sorry, George. I got to tell you, I think the new High on Fire is a step down in quality from their last few releases.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know, but I got to go. I wasn't going to say it, but I was like, screw it. I mean, I'll still spin it a bunch more, but I have their favorite records, which I'll save my rant for their favorites, but they just didn't quite hit me. And it could be that I'm just like, you know, high and fired out. I hate to say it, and I'm not, but whatever. So my apologies for that, man. I want to go there. I want to feel that love with you.
Guys.
Yeah, well, you never will because you're against them now.
Yeah, because he's a fucking psycho now.
Oh, I got another one.
Okay.
I got another one. Supremacy Archine, Pagan's Mind. Listen to that track. Tell me that doesn't get your nipples hard. Seriously.
Ching.
Georgie boy, I want to know, because I want to know if I influenced George in any way.
You did. Everybody's on here. But first one is Feral, Where Dead Dreams Dwell, which was one I picked up from Buke.
Me too. That was great, by the way, Buke.
He's not even doing a little happy dance. He got my approval. He always wants my approval. There's my approval. Enjoy it a little.
Bask in it.
All right.
Come on, follow it up with something else.
Another one, this one came from Will's list, Ingested, The Architect of Extinction. Fucking badass death metal album there. Brutal, their third album. They're from the UK. Next one is one from Jay. Maybe it was on his list. I don't know. I don't think it wasn't on his list, but I still picked it up based on his recommendation right before vacation, and that's Mutoid Man and their album Bleeder.
God bless you, George. I like that record so much, dude. Oh, I'm so glad you like it.
When I first heard about it, I don't know, like a month or so ago, I listened to a little clip and I was like, meh, not for me. And I moved on. And then when you were like, this is awesome, I was like, all right, well, let me try this again. And I listened to it on the beach more in depth, with nothing better to do. And I was like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty awesome.
Cool.
It's funny how that works too. Like when I first started with Demi Borgir, Buke's been my influence for everything. He's like, hey, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to that. Job for a Cowboy. I actually came back from Florida and told him about him, and he was like, oh yeah, I've known them for like ever. But when Job for a Cowboy, for instance, when I was initially introduced into those guys, I said, this sounds like a lot of sound. I've got a musical background, was becoming an engineer when I was introduced to him. So I was like, it's got to sound epic. It's got to have that Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix feel. And then I grew up and I was like, my ears are tuned to a lot more different sounds. Just because somebody's screaming and yelling doesn't mean it's not instrumental. It's just what they're doing at the time,
Sure. So
you listen to them a few times. I mean, Job for a Cowboy, I listened to them once and said, fuck those guys. And then then I came back to them and said, these guys are actually pretty freaking good. And not only that, you try getting on the guitar and playing what they're doing. And you're like, holy shit, these guys are actually really good. Like, I need to listen to these cats. And that's what gets me into guys, is like sitting there eating popcorn or whatever that is.
Mini burritos.
No, that's coming later. This is actually my breakfast.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I suffer from that all the time. I'll hear a clip of something, and it's maybe not the most interesting part of a song or, part of the album, and I'll be like, meh, whatever, and I'll move on, and then I'll come to realize later, wait, if I'd listened another 30 seconds, I would have realized this is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so, yeah, it's just hard.
I got to sneak in one fact there, George, which is Mutoid Man is going to be here in August, and I'm trying real hard for us to open for them. So nice. I'm hoping for the best.
We'll be seeing them next month at the Guarbecue.
I saw. Yeah.
Yep. Matt will be there with us. And we found out George is going to be joining us, Matt.
Down's going to be there?
Yep. Clutch is going to be there.
Clutch. I didn't know that. Yep. But basically my sell point was down. I enjoyed down quite immensely.
There's a bunch of hot girls.
It was them or Super
bathing
Joint Ritual.
suits.
You bring either of them in, and it's like, I Phil Anselmo? Okay, yeah, I can do this.
All right.
We're stealing your thunder, George. What else you got for us, Georgie?
I've got another band from Will. This one's called Pyres and Year of Sleep. It's the first album from a Toronto progressive sludge band. Will mentioned this one. It wasn't on his list, but he mentioned it later on Twitter.
Did. Yeah.
And I totally dug that one, so thanks, Will.
Nice.
And then, of course, a band that I knew about. In fact, I had their first album, but I had sort of glossed over their newest album until Jay lost his mind over it, and this one is Sulfur Aeon and Gateway to the Antisphere. It's the second album from these German death metalers, and it is pretty badass.
Germany's got some good metal, man.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really good stuff. Man. Still totally into that record.
Yep.
They're good in technology and metal.
And then the last one that I took away from our mid-year list, which was the number one for both John and Buke,
Yeah.
Wild Run, and their album Sleep at the Edge of the Earth. This was another band that I listened to a brief clip, and I was like, yeah, I've heard that before, whatever, and I moved on. But, when it ends up as the number one album mid-year for two of the people on the
hadn't even
podcast.
talked to one another about it.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I really need to check this out. And I listened to it more, and while I wouldn't rank it as my number one, it is definitely a very, very good album. And it's very different than a lot of the stuff that you're going to hear out there now, and that's part of the appeal. So, good job on that one, guys.
I was going to say I should bring a pad of paper and pencil to this, but I guess I could listen to the podcast.
Oh, no, dude. Nobody listens to this podcast.
No, that's not true. I've listened to it a few times.
I kid.
Or you could go on Spotify and listen to the playlists put together by one of our listeners. Holy shit.
Yes, we got a message on
That's
Twitter
awesome.
this week. One of our listeners has been taking each episode and whatever we talk about, he makes a Spotify playlist from it.
From all the bands on the episode.
Who's the listener?
I am pulling it up right now.
pull that up, 'cause we need to give him some credit
it
as
would be rude to not actually mention him.
Buke told me about this a few days ago, and I don't know. I follow the Metalheads Pod Twitter feed, but somehow I missed this, and he had tweeted to us links to these playlists, and I was just like mind blown. I'm like, that's the sort of thing that happens.
That means you're reaching out and touching people. That's what you want.
As long as we have permission to touch them, that's okay.
This is at Mr. France, so at MFRANCESKI. Follow him on Twitter, the franchise.
Definitely.
He actually has been making, again, Spotify playlists.
He's leading you to really good information.
Yeah.
But he's doing what we would do as fans, and so that makes it feel good when somebody does that kind a thing. And also,
for somebody to do that for us is like, wow.
Yeah,
well,
we should be doing
that's
it.
The thing is as an entertainer, I guess I could call myself. I mean, right now I'm just
You're entertaining me.
I'm covering bands at the moment just to bring cash in. I'm sure Jay is looking at me like, okay, that's weak, but
he was just. I have a mental link with Jane. He was just thinking.
He was.
Can I just put the fucking visual image here for a second? John and Will. Jay's eating again. Okay, go ahead.
How he stays so skinny, always eating.
Yeah.
He's fucking.
Well, that's the thing. It's 6 small portions a day.
That's right. If you just eat it all day long.
I eat a dinner and that's it. I'm good.
Yeah, and I have to keep a bucket.
Sorry, to get back on track. I'm trying to cash checks basically, so I'm playing other people's music, and it's fun. And in the same sense, it's horrible because you don't get to throw your artistic views into things, and it's always funner to write your own music. Where I was going with this, I'm not exactly sure, but basically, I sit back and I hear Buke always talking about this and that, and I've been witness to the podcast quite a few times, mainly when I was involved in it with Sons of Destiny. By the way, I saved every one of those. I had somebody steal the CD.
Yeah.
I guess it was good enough to be stolen, so that says a lot.
Or they needed a coaster for the beer.
No. It was a party. I played the CD, and they were like, "Holy shit, this is really good!" And then all of a sudden, I go to get it, and it's not there. Anyway, I've been witness to these guys doing this podcast for so long, and it's nice to see metal being brought into anyone's mainstream. I mean, you can take mainstream for what it is at this point because you've got social media. You've got all this BS that anyone can post anything anywhere at this point, and it's news.
Yeah.
So we start getting enough people to post this. Hey, listen to the Metalheads podcast. And it becomes news at that point.
Let's take this viral, people.
Yeah, that's right. Let's do that.
Getting back to our list before we move on to the podcast.
Jay had something to say. Hang on, Buke.
Only that I might be doing what Buke was going to do, which was just while we're doing the little shout out type thing, I really, really want to acknowledge another one of our listeners. He's on Twitter under @GregoryWJ.Kelly.
I was just going to mention him.
Right,
nice.
Yeah, right.
Really
there's no way I'm saying it. But he's just a real engaged listener. He tweets stuff and
he buys a lot of stuff on Bandcamp that we talk about.
Yeah, in fact, I've got another list of new music that we'll be talking about a little later. My beach communing music, and he's on that list as well. So
it sounds like a Christian Bandcamp thing.
He needs to know that, he's listening to us. But we've looked at your list, buddy. The stuff you follow on Bandcamp, and you've influenced us too. So we're listening to some of the stuff you got there. So anyway, just a little shout out.
What's his name again?
Gregory W.J. Kelly.
Greg Kelly,
yeah.
I just wanted to get back on topic here again with things you learned from the mid-year lists. I can't believe I forgot this, and George mentioned it on your list. This album totally, I knew nothing of it till you sent it to me. Your number 7 pick, Malakesh.
Malakesh.
How I forgot about that album, I don't know how.
I don't know.
Jumping in.
It's an amazing album.
It is.
On my list.
Enki?
Yeah. It's such an amazing album. It's a Egyptian thing?
No, I think they
Israeli?
I think it's Israeli.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were from Jerusalem or something, but I think they may have had to leave the country or something because of
probably
persecution or something.
They're based in Germany now, but they I think they're more like a band like Nile. You know how Nile does all
Israel.
Yeah,
and they do stuff that's all based in that ancient culture and just the way Nile does. Egypt. But I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great record, dude.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys both props for that because how I left it off my list was a big, a faux pas.
Well, hey.
Yeah, it was. It was a big error. But also though, guys, 2015, we have been bombarded with amazing releases the past 3-4 months.
Yeah,
good shit.
And it's going to be picking
just
up
like
again.
George said in the Joel interview, August. Those last 2 weeks in August are busy.
By the way, kudos to you for that. I mean, you must really follow release dates.
Oh, I do.
To be able to follow that.
I do.
Because that's exactly what I was thinking. It was like August is the worst time.
Going off of what Matt said.
And you're not going to know what we're talking about because we haven't played you the interview yet, but this is a prophecy of the future.
But just like Matt was saying with release dates, we just got the new Between the Buried and Me. How weird was it, guys, that came out Friday? Remember, we talked about it when we got that news story, George, that release dates were shifting to Friday?
Right.
It was a little weird that it was on a Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah, when they start doing
it.
It was
Well,
Thursday,
I had the promo beforehand, so I didn't really notice.
But if you wanted to go, it wasn't Tuesdays. It's internationally Fridays now.
Yep, everywhere.
Yeah.
International.
I think it was like a fiscal year thing. They did it on the beginning of the fiscal year, not to sound like a dipshit, but I think they did it because that's when companies do their fiscal year from July 1 instead of January 1.
Well, that's
a fiscal year. So I think that was when they made the switch. But that's weird. It was Tuesdays forever, which was It's Friday now.
Yeah, I thought it was Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah,
Always.
It's going to be weird to adjust because I've been on the Tuesday schedule for 20 years or more every Tuesday. What's new? What's new?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. No more.
Okay,
Hey, but
so
that's a good. That's
good
a
to
good.
know.
Good segue into our next thing, unless somebody has any more titles there, which is what most anticipated releases for the second half of 2015.
May I go first?
You may.
Please, gentlemen. Coming out this Friday. I'm going to be off if I'm incorrect, and it's next week. But depending on when you hear this, the new Lamb of God.
Oh,
Yeah.
I am. Each release has been getting
that
better
is
and
my
better.
Pantera.
Yep.
Right there. Seriously. I mean, does anybody disagree with me?
They're
This is
flying the
Pantera
flag.
lost, and then
They're flying the flag for American metal now.
exactly.
I want to. While we're on that, I want to go ahead and pilfer something from the news section. They've been playing some tracks. They played, was that Still Echoes?
Yeah.
And then there was 512.
Yeah, 512. Yeah.
And then we've heard, and I'm assuming you've heard Overlord.
Yeah.
What's everybody think of Overlord?
Meh. I'm not crazy about it.
I expect to hear Randy get some shit about not screaming on parts of it, but it's not really clean singing either. And I have to say I wasn't really fond of the song, but it wasn't because of the way he was singing. It was just a general lack of interest in the song.
But honestly, do you have to be screaming?
No, that's my point.
Look at Opeth. That is true metal,
right?
As far as I'm concerned.
And that's my point.
No.
I'm not saying I don't like it because of the way he's singing. I'm saying it was just kind of a boring song in general. And I wanted to clarify that it wasn't because of his vocals. I actually like that he's doing something different with his vocals. I just would like it to be a little more interesting.
Okay. Well, in your defense, I guess it would be, I haven't heard the song. So.
Well, you know what? I will say this. I think Lamb of God is one of those bands that needs to be very careful about the way they experiment. And that sounds silly. I mean, they can do whatever the hell they want. But all I mean to say is that they got a very specific wheelhouse they play in. And I like to watch bands wander.
That's a great point you bring up, Jay.
They're so mainstream that they can't experiment.
No, basically. It's not that. It's just more like they've got, I wouldn't call them a one-trick pony, but they're very, very, very good at what they do. And what they do is a very specific kind of thing. I have to tell you, I brought this up last episode. A guy I know has heard the record, and apparently a lot of it is sort of like that too. I got to tell you, but I haven't heard it. So I heard that song, but I haven't heard the rest of the record. So we'll see. I remain open minded, but I wasn't crazy about it either, George.
Okay. All right. Well, what else are we anticipating?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Beak.
I have a couple.
Okay.
The Megadeth album that may come out with Chris Adler on drums.
After hearing the Metal Sucks interview with him, I was a little more excited. I was like, this guy is really cool.
Yep. Hoping that we may get a return to their old sound.
Well, the fact that Chris was like, this is what, get rid of this, or, I'd like to see you do things this way. The fact that Chris, being a big Megadeth fan, felt like he was in a spot that he could try and sort of steer them away from things that were dumb, that gives me a little hope.
Hopes that this band may return to an older sound. My Dying Bride.
Have you heard the song?
Oh, wow.
That's good.
Their guitarist is back.
Yeah.
They're recording in the old studios that they did a lot of their earlier albums at.
The song, which we are talking about, is called And My Father Left Forever. Yep. It has a very, like Gods of the Sun sound to it. I think it was... I'd have to go back and listen to the last couple albums, but they had started to introduce harsh vocals again.
Yep.
And there weren't any on this song. I don't know if there'll be any on the album.
I heard that there may.
But it was, I'm good either way, as long as it's good. And this first new song sounds good.
Got two more things I'm excited for to come out the second half of the year. We got a video preview from our guys at Thy Demons Be Scribbling, Ahab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually turned out pretty well. I think it calmed our worrying that it was going to be shit.
Yeah, it sounded a lot better than the teaser.
Yeah. And hot off their amazing fucking leaving George and I speechless at Maryland Death Fest, Skepticism has a new album coming out in October.
I didn't think you'd be into that.
Nice.
Yep.
All right.
Very cool.
George, after that performance, how could I not?
Yeah.
This is, I think, their first album in 12, 13 years.
I don't think it's that long. It's like 5 or 6 years anyway. I think the last one was like 2008.
You think?
So that was like 5, 6 years. 6, 7 years, whatever. I don't, my math not so
7
good.
years.
7 years. I think Alloy was the last one.
Yeah, 08.
Yeah.
So, but after that last performance at Death Fest, I cannot not be excited.
I mean,
for this.
can you blame bands though for taking so long to get albums done?
Yes, I think I can.
No, well, they have to make money too, and you don't make money on albums. You make it on playing out, right?
Yes.
And you've been to so many of the shows.
Yes.
I promise you've been to so many of the shows.
I've been to all the shows,
Yes.
all of them.
Correct.
I said it at the start of the year for most anticipated for this year. Gojira, I thought their album may have made it in this year.
Nope.
Doesn't look like it's not. Looks like it's next year. They pretty much confirmed that. So.
Yeah. Jay, what do you got?
A bunch of stuff off Buke's list, so I'll leave it at that. We got a promo of this, which I couldn't be happier about, but the new Now record, the promo is great. I'm looking for that. Be glad to get that on vinyl when it comes out. Ghost, we're all excited about that one.
Nice,
I know.
nice.
Yeah,
Everything we... Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a new stream for another song called From the Pinnacle to the Pit, and I fucking love that one just as much as Cerise.
Of Ghost?
So,
Yeah, Ghost,
Nice.
yeah, and it is good. So
I
I have high hopes for the new album. Sorry, Godless.
and then finally, the one that we're all saying quietly but not saying out loud is Book of Souls, Iron Maiden.
I was waiting for that one to come up.
I can't believe
Yeah, that's probably.
I think
It's
that's probably my
90
number one.
Well,
Nice.
it's up
90
there.
minutes. 90 minutes of
double
music.
album.
It's Buke's number one.
Well, it's definitely like at least it's somewhere in the 1-2ish range. But are you done?
I know.
Okay, I didn't want to just roll into mine and leave you hanging.
Let George go.
Actually,
Let the leader take the reins.
actually, I didn't even make a list.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Mister. I don't need to.
No, it's just
This
because
is
I was
off
so
my
busy
head.
and I didn't notice that I needed to do that. But definitely both of you guys' lists, the Ghost and obviously the Maiden's a big one, and the Ahab, and basically everything these guys says I agree with. Also,
You know what? Go ahead. Well, I do want to say one more, and that is the release that I was going to say I'm excited about is the one we don't know about yet, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because we've been blindsided a couple times this year by like really cool releases we didn't see coming.
yeah.
That's how Bandcamp
bands
is.
we don't know about.
Oh yeah, Bandcamp's great for that.
Exactly. So anyway, but go ahead, George.
All right. Well, like I said, the Iron Maiden and the Ahab and the Ghost, but one that we didn't mention, it's kind of a duh for me, is of course the new Thrawsunblat, which we'll be talking about with Joel in a little while.
Yeah, I figured that'd be on your list, of course.
Definitely.
And I have to say also, as a local performer, go out. Anyone listening, go out, enjoy your local bands, because some of the best metal bands I've ever heard are unsigned. They're playing on stages around you
Hell yeah.
every weekend. Stuck in Chaos. You remember those guys? Mm-hmm. They were epically awesome.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard from them since I played with them. So go out, look at your local bands, see who's playing. Enjoy their shows. Some of them are the most amazing bands you'll ever see, but they don't get signed because of some political bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just heard about a band that we've had here on the podcast, one of our local bands, Aries, and their singer Rob Bradley, who's just fucking phenomenal. I just found out this past week they canceled their Kickstarter for their third album, which I had backed. Because they're breaking up.
Oh no!
Oh,
and I was like,
at least work out the Kickstarter, get the cash and split it out.
I know, right? But
you're lucky. These days, George, especially right now, bands forming now will be lucky to get 3 records out of most bands.
Yeah,
really. I mean, the bands
it's a tough era for bands to be playing in.
Right.
It costs more to be in a band than it. Trust me, we've spent way more money on a band than we've ever come close to making. So you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
That's the thing is they say you have to be willing to spend money to make money, but in bands it's like you're spending your life's fortune to get just a couple inches ahead in where you're going. You know what I mean?
I do.
I know you know what I mean. I'm talking to you. But
the joke is how do you make a small fortune in the music industry? And the answer is you spend a large fortune.
Correct. Well, you do like Radiohead did. Radiohead. As far as I know, they're one of the first bands to give their songs away basically online.
Yep.
And ask for donations.
You know what? We're giving our CD away now. We just give it away.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of bands are doing. They're saying, we're making the music.
It's a business
labels
card.
Ask for way too much money from us. There's so many stories of bands that have just been completely bankrupted because they've gone with labels. And you've got these bands that are going out and they're writing songs, amazing songs, and they're just giving them away and asking for donations or, I don't know what site I can relate that to, but I guess Kickstart in a way. I mean, you're asking for donations through Kickstart, but there's like a maximum and a minimum you have to meet, blah, blah, blah. But these bands, they're saying, this is what we've created. If you want to give us cash for doing this.
The next two items are related, and the first one I came up with actually a while ago. I found this in some of my notes on my phone, something that I thought about a while back, and the topic after it reminded me of it. So I posed this question to the guys. It's the metal moral dilemma. Would you rather metal became extremely popular and everyone is into it, thereby providing a larger pool of metal bands and making it possible for artists to live off making metal? Or would you prefer metal to be underground and only those that hear the call get into metal, and metal bands all have to have day jobs to survive?
Honestly, the day jobs thing it sucks. Mm-hmm. But I think that's one of the draws towards metal is people are looking for something that's not your average listening. These underground, yeah, it is way underground at this point. I mean, popular media just shoves Britney Spears up your asshole, and it's like, what the hell's going on?
Right, but at the same time, well, actually, agreeing with you is what I meant to say. Metal fans want to feel elite. And so they don't want everybody else to listen to it. It's like back in the 80s when we were listening to hair metal. I know Jay was a big Poison fan. And
Fuck you, man. That was awesome.
And, when people that we didn't like listened to something heavier, like if some preppy person was liked Metallica, we were like, oh, fuck that shit, man. You didn't want those people listening to Metallica or your metal. Yeah, because you're like, no, fuck you. This is my thing. But given the current, lay of the land and how, bands break up because of their inability to make any money at what they're doing, which is the lesser of two evils?
I think, honestly, that's where the Kickstart comes into play.
Sure.
Because these people that feel the way we do, as this should be an underground thing, don't listen to my shit, you're an asshole for doing it, can contribute to bands that are trying to do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in lines with this asshole, Buke, I'm talking about. I got to remember that we're on radio, not video. And talk to so many metalheads. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's for me. In the queue is where you get to know people.
Listen me up.
Yeah, and everybody comes together. It's like we're here for this epic transformation of our souls, which is metal. Mm-hmm. And that's where Kickstart comes into play. Is these people not only can buy the ticket, but they can contribute afterwards towards these bands and get them a little more notoriety, a little more cash, because honestly, that's what a lot of people are in it for, is the cash.
But which do we prefer? Do we prefer that metal bands can make a living, even though we have to put up with, the everyday Joe Schmo asshole liking it? I'm going to get Jay's opinion, being that he is actually in a band.
Honestly, in my heart, I like it a little more underground. And I'm already not successful, so it's not like I'm losing anything.
Right.
And, and it used to be that the labels controlled really, you used to have to really, really kind of like hope for the labels to do something for you. I'm really starting to embrace the Thrawsunblat way of doing things, which is we kind of pursued label ideas for a while, but you know what? Fuck that. We put our record out. Yeah, I'm okay with the way it is right now. Believe it or not, I am, because we're not all going to get rich anyway. So I'm okay. Right. I'm okay. I like it.
And that's almost
a little
an attraction to the whole thing. Is these guys aren't there to do it for money. They're there to do it because we love it and they love it. That's part of the attraction.
I agree.
I have one more comment though too, and that's that when I was a kid, metal was this really weird private thing that happened in my bedroom or headphones.
That your mom hated.
So in some weird sort of way, it would be weird for me if it was something I shared with the world at large. That sounds dumb, but I can't quite explain it.
Anyone listening, any metalhead listening is going to understand that completely. You want to do what you want to do, not what mommy and daddy want you to do. You want your own thing. And I think that's where a lot of it starts, is you get this rebellious attitude. Not to say it that way. That's probably not a good way to say it. Rebellious. I mean, it's just a way to get outside.
Well, you know what? I would change rebellious with private. Like to me, my interaction with music is so meaningful and somewhat private to me. I could not, as much as you might think this would have worked out on the pod with any number of people. The reason George and Buke and I hit it off is because we have the same heart attachment to the music.
Absolutely. These guys have some of the biggest hearts for this I've ever seen in my life. Would I start a podcast for a metal show? Most likely not. I love metal, don't get me wrong. But would I start a podcast? No, probably not.
So,
it doesn't consume me the way it does these guys.
George was about to make a comment, too. We cut him off. I really wanted to hear what he was about to say.
I don't actually remember now, but it was probably...
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
I haven't shared my 2 cents on this. I've been sitting back just taking in everything you guys have said. I'm torn with this. I want everybody in life to provide for themselves and their family doing something that they love.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
At the same time, though, I think a lot of artists who make it as a career lose the passion and love for doing it when it becomes that routine that pays the bills.
Yeah.
Every day.
I can't
What
wait.
happened to Metallica?
Can't wait.
Yep.
Hey, Buke, I can't wait till we get to the Mastodon news story.
When you look at these bands who this does not pay the bills from them, and George, we've met a bunch of them.
Too many.
They are the most down-to-earth, humble. You and I put them on a pedestal, but they're just like you and I.
Yep.
Well, Joel works out 9 to 5, right?
Yeah, he does.
So he's one of them.
Joel has a job. When I interviewed Cam, when we talked to Jay, all these artists who we look up to.
Dude, fucking Matt Barlow.
Yeah, Barlow has a fucking
band.
cop.
Yep.
These guys, they have jobs. But you know
As
what?
a cop, I could see that.
I love how passionate they are about the music, because it's not paying the bills.
No.
And they do it just out of the love for it.
By extension, that's what we're doing. We're not getting paid to do this. We
get nothing from this.
Not a dime.
Yep, not a cent.
If you'd like to send us some money, we'll take it. But I've never seen. I've been doing this between the podcast and the website for like a decade.
George,
I've never seen a dime.
You did a whole 365 days of metal where you inconvenienced yourself.
Every day for a year, I made a video covering an album.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me tell you the depth this guy goes to. Okay, one of the first bands I was in, Soul Mason, and I know you remember it. Mm-hmm. This man recorded every song we had for how long did we record?
I don't know. It was a while.
It was almost a year, I would say, recorded. And this cat just sat there knowing a dime was not going to come to him.
Yeah.
He recorded us because he loves metal. And I wouldn't say we were metal as much as we were like rock.
Hard rock.
Hard rock, yeah. We were just pushing the cusp of
Pussy
metal.
rock.
Yeah, there was some heavy heavy
screw
guitar
you,
riffs and
buddy.
stuff.
You followed us for a lot longer than he recorded us.
No, but that's what I was saying, is that I would rather the love and the passion to shine through. And I hate saying that. And
Yeah.
that's selfish to say as a fan.
No.
it's not.
That's
Because
And you
I
know what?
remember when
that's what anybody wants.
George and I met Landmine Marathon downtown Frederick. I remember talking to those guys from the band. Mm-hmm. They didn't even have money to have cable TV in their place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
but
living
who needs
bi-
cable TV?
No,
when you have
I'm
a
just
guitar?
saying, they were living bare bones.
Hey, dude, we just played. I mentioned it earlier. A really super kick-ass this show in Oakland this week. We played with a super cool doom band called Demon Smoke. Played with another band called Pony from Wisconsin who was on tour. They didn't have a place to sleep that night.
Wow.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
literally.
I know
and
a lot of them sleep in their vans. A lot of them.
I couldn't
I heard
take
they
them.
have
I wish
satanic
I
gay
could.
orgies in there.
Yeah, I mean, little butt penetration isn't asking too much, right?
If
For being a metal
it's
band.
not gay if it happens on tour.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gas, grass, ass, baby.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next slightly more serious moral question. One of our listeners, I don't remember which one it was now. Was it Gregory?
It's,
Was it Greg?
Gregory, yep.
Gregory.
Yeah, sent us a tweet about the band Enabler. I don't know if you've seen the news about this, but apparently the main guy in that band has been singled out as being not a really nice guy. Apparently, his girlfriend used to be in the band, and sounds like he was beating her up and who knows what else, but essentially being an unsavory character. And basically, the listener was like, well, I was kind of looking forward to this, but now I'm not going to listen to it. And I have to agree. I actually just got the promo for the new Enabler album, and now I really don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So
I don't promote beating women
No.
in any form or fashion.
hell no.
It kind of.
He doesn't promote it, he just does it.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could relate it to.
It's more of an
dance.
underground thing.
Yeah, right. Well, fuck the underground then. I guess you could relate it to the Danzig thing with his lighting guy beating the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. The lighting guy beating the shit out of Danzig. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I
Did you
saw
see that?
Danzig beating up some guy with a camera.
We had a perfect example of this story, a year ago, as they lay dying.
Yep.
When Tim
Lambesis.
hired who he thought was somebody to kill his wife.
Are you kidding?
Do you
Or you know
still
what, dude?
support them?
Right.
No, hell no.
And
I
that's
don't support anybody that does that.
That's the question that I wanted to pose here. Do we support evil / bad / immoral bands?
Fuck no.
And it honestly, I hate to say it, but it kind of depends on the situation.
Honestly, you could be the best metal band on the planet, and I would not support you if you were beating your wife.
I think-
Okay.
Well, yeah, but there
Sir-
are other things though too. Like what about Burzum? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And
I was going to go there. With Varg
but I also
or Bard
Go ahead.
from Emperor, same thing. Killed somebody. Or what about
Well, who did he kill though?
Well, Varg killed Euronymous, the guitar player from Mayhem.
And what was the reason for killing him?
He's
Black
a
metal.
crazy, stupid fuck.
I mean, was it just a random killing,
No,
or
just-
did
they were just
did
going-
God deserve it?
It was a power play in the
It was,
Norwegian
it was-
black metal scene.
Oh, Norwegian.
it was
Well,
an
that's all you had
argument
to
over.
say.
But I
was-
mean, Varg is really kind of the
He's also a Nazi dude. I mean,
yeah. He's
Okay, well, let me just make it clear. I don't support Nazis in any form
I mean,
or fashion.
he's a racist and a nationalist.
yeah,
and,
he's a nationalist, racist,
yeah,
heathenist.
the whole thing. And I got to tell you, I'll still put on a Burzum record from time to time.
And that's where I really kind of have to go, because Burzum really is one of the forerunners of the Norwegian black metal scene, and their first couple albums are some of the best black metal albums from that time period. And I do own most of the Burzum albums, and particularly the first few on vinyl. But at the same time, I have such a distaste for the man, I don't often listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to own them, but to listen to them, then you're condoning it.
Right.
I think we all have our own moral standards that we all follow and we choose to.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I'm just using it as an example because they're not really a metal band. But we went to an Ozfest, American Head Charged, burned an American flag on stage.
Fuck that.
To me, anything they did after that instant, they were dead to me.
Right.
I chose never to listen to them again.
I feel the same way.
They could be releasing the greatest albums out right now, and I wouldn't be listening to them.
I understand that it's their right as Americans to burn the American flag, but I've also got many relatives that died putting the red into that flag, and it doesn't make you a protester. It makes you an asshole, is what it does.
I only wanted to just kind of reduce this all a notch by saying that there's no way I'm going to stop watching The Cosby Show. I'm fucking with it.
Quaaludes accepted.
That's terrible story.
It's a hard, this is a hard question here because
where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line? Do you look at it just as like? Do you look at it just as? But do you look at it, George and Jay, like this is just a point that it's just music? It's just art.
I think it's a case by case basis. I think with for instance, Burzum is the other big example we're kind of using here. I don't feel like the music really represents his point of view that much. I mean, I think it does lyrically, probably, but
if he's writing the lyrics,
I could also just kind of write him off as an idiot. I mean, if it was like some American white power band, I wouldn't listen to it for a second. I mean, but because there is like this whole punk white power movement, and I hate that shit. But I don't know, Burzum, it's almost like there's a kind of an interesting socio-political kind of study there, as dumb as that sounds. Whereas this guy who beat his girlfriend, it didn't have anything to do with his music, the guy who beat his girlfriend, and fuck that guy. You know what I mean? There's a lot of bands I can listen to. Fuck you, dude. I'm not listening to your fucking music. But
there are some people, though, Jay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There are some people who can disconnect from actions that they do and say, I don't care. I just wherever the music is talking about. What they do in their personal life, I don't care. It's just about the music.
I just don't buy that.
I disagree completely.
I'm just saying there are people though who can.
If you beat your wife off stage, on stage, I don't give two shits about you. Fuck you're a wife beater.
It's not just the wife beating thing, but I'll throw you a more
George
complicated.
Listens to Mayhem. George listened to a bunch of black metal bands responsible for church burnings and stuff. Did you take a step back and ever look at that and go?
No, because. I mean, do I think people should go out and burn churches? No.
Yeah.
Was I sad about it? Only a little. And that's only because of the historical significance of those Norwegian churches. But I don't give a shit about churches. Yeah. So if I was...
Well, that's where it comes into being personal.
Right. Well, if I didn't care about women, if I was a misogynist and I hated women, then I'd be like, man, Enabler's my band.
Right. Yeah, there's some people that could look at this stuff and be like, okay, well, he's doing what I want to do, so I'm going to do.
Okay, so it isn't time to worry about George until we show up and he's wearing an Enabler shirt.
Yeah, don't come in here with a cross or anything.
You know what? It's complicated though, guys, and the reason I'll just give one example, non-metal example. Phil Spector killed a guy, but that guy, they're going to stop playing his hits on the radio. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sometimes it's not hideously connected to the artistic thing.
It'd be hard not to play his stuff. I mean, he engineered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but
do you hate him and not listen to anything he did, or do you enjoy the band that he did it for?
Right. Yeah, because that's sort of a step removed. It's not the artist that did something wrong.
Correct.
No, but all I mean to say is this. I would say this. It's case by case. If somebody does something so reprehensible and you're like, I'm not giving this guy a dime of my time or money, that's a thing. You know what I mean? But it's kind of, like the church burnings thing, that was more like a weird phenomenon. And
Well,
And-
not so phenomenonic.
Monom.
Hold on. I am
down.
free to make up words as an American.
Don't worry, I've made up plenty.
We just had that one cat shoot all those people at the church in North Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina, yeah. I'm sorry. I try to follow current events. But it's not so much different than that. I mean, burning a church and killing the people that are in it, I mean, that's basically the same thing.
It's a bit of a degree worse.
Really?
You can rebuild a building, you can't rebuild a person.
Well, yes, you're right. And maybe I'm
And
wrong, but I'm just saying
You're wrong.
people are attacking people are attacking each other, and it's I don't know where I'm going with this. Go ahead.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
We're taking the keys away from you, dude. You're not driving. We're gonna get lost.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Sorry.
All right, we're gonna take this back in a not so dark direction.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that a couple weeks ago I had the opportunity to check out a show at the Cafe 611 here in Frederick, Maryland. The headliner was Crowbar.
Yeah. How was that?
It was a great show, and Crowbar and Battlecross, Lord Dying, Our Boys and Yesterday's Saints,
Nice.
plus a couple other openers that I did not catch the name of.
I wanted to go just for Crowbar.
Yes. Well, and as a matter of fact, it was funny. I went in, I went to the show by myself, and I immediately wandered over to the bar. I'm like, gonna get me a beer, get me some chicken tenders, get myself all ready to go here. And I'm sitting there at the bar waiting for my order. And the place is pretty packed given that we're only like on the second band of like 7 bands. Usually, the places fill up later on, but it was pretty packed early. And I just happened to be looking over my shoulder, and I see this short little guy with a beard walking by. And I was like, damn, that looks like Kirk Winstein from Crowbar.
Yeah.
Like, it is Kirk Winstein
Saw
from
him
Crowbar.
eat it.
And I'm just watching him, and he's just, only like going to be like probably the most recognizable person here this evening. And he's just walking around. He comes up to the bar, gets a beer, wanders off. I'm texting Buke. I'm like, Kirk is here. And he's like, go talk to him. I'm like, I'm a pussy.
He's standing right next to me. I can't say a word.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, he's just going to get a beer. He didn't want to be hassled. So I didn't actually have an opportunity at that point because he was at the other end of the bar and it was packed. But after the next band finished, I wandered over into the next room, which is where they had all the merch. And I was talking to, I want to say it was Matt at the Yesterday Saints table. Matt, the singer of Yesterday Saints. And when I finished talking to him, I turned around and Kirk was at the Crowbar table because I think his wife runs the merch table for the band. And I was like, ooh, here's my chance. And so I kind of like sidled over close and I was just standing there because he was talking to somebody, so I didn't want to interrupt a conversation. And so I'm standing there. And then, he finishes his conversation and the guy leaves. And so I just kind of scoot up a little closer next. I'm like looking at the table. He's standing next to me. And I'm like,
Hey, buddy.
And I was like,
Got something in my pocket.
would you like to see it?
Yeah.
No, and little Buke popped up on my shoulder and said, say something!
Nice. That's
So I
what
was like-
Bukes are good for.
I was like, hey, Kirk, how you doing? And he was like, hey, good, how's it going? And I was like, can I shake your hand? And he's like, yeah, sure, take your hand. I was like, can I take a picture with you? And he's like, of course. So snapped a couple pictures and got to meet Kirk Winstein. So that was
Nice.
that was the highlight of that show.
Buke and I saw, was it a Super Joint Ritual
We've seen
show?
him at a bunch of down shows. Yeah, He was
Down,
with
that's what it was. Yeah. We saw him at quite a few. And actually, one of them, he tripped over the monitor and ate it really hard. I felt bad for him because he was playing all the way to the ground when his face hit it. And he did a phenomenal job of recovering. But, yeah, Phil made sure to announce to the crowd that he bit it.
In case you missed it.
Yeah, that fat
In case you
ass.
didn't see the guy to the right of me just tripping and eating the stage. That's what happened.
And so, speaking about texting Buke, I was working this day, and you and I were talking the whole day about your
The next one?
about your experience seeing the Foo Fighters at RFK, well, attempting to.
Yeah.
Why don't you share your wonderful experience?
Yeah, we've said a lot of good things about Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters on this podcast.
Great guy.
One of the last remaining
flag bearers
of rock music in America.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I take all that back. Fuck the Foo Fighters.
No. I disagree completely. The dude's rocking a Neve. A Neve console now.
I don't even care. I don't even care. This is all tongue in cheek, by the way. Just don't take it too seriously.
I wish you guys could read the text conversation, George. It started from happy and not even like a bell curve, like trail off down. It was drop off a fucking cliff.
So this was
Best day
their
of my life. Worst day of my life.
Yeah. So on 4th of July, the Foo Fighters celebrated their 20th anniversary at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. They had a huge lineup of bands. The show started at like 12:30, I think, 1 o'clock, something like that. And of course would go, into the evening. And I didn't really care for at least half the bands. There were a few I wanted to see. Joan Jett, I'm a big Joan Jett fan. Buddy Guy, I'm a blues guy. I wanted to see Buddy Guy. And of course, the Foo Fighters.
That's a weird lineup, dude.
And I took my wife because she's a Foo Fighters fan, and Shorty Trombone, I think was another like one of the New Orleans bands or something. She likes them, and LL Cool J was there, and she's a big LL Cool J fan.
Sorry.
So anyway, we get there, and we had seats. The whole stadium was general admission. And then there was the field, and you had to have field tickets to get on the field. But the field people could be in the seats if they wanted to. So we get off to the right side of the stage, partway down, like a decent distance. You can see well. We're like, this is good. The show starts. The sound is fucking horrible. I mean, I don't mean just like not good.
Well, don't blame the band for that.
No, I blame the band because they should
hired the sound.
I'm sure they had the opportunity. As much stuff as they had there, they had to have had that shit set up the day before.
Yeah.
Or even earlier in the day, they could test it and go, wow, this is bad. This is not like Jack's Empire bad. The sound was so bad.
Well, what if the sound on stage was phenomenal?
Doesn't matter. I wasn't on the stage.
That's all that matters to the band.
Right. Well, if it sounds like shit to everybody else.
Yes.
Have you ever left a show early?
Yes.
And you're leaving and you're out in the parking lot and you can hear the show rumbling through the wall?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it sounded like in the stadium.
Oh,
you heard...
just bass end.
Bass drum and rumble.
Oh, wow.
With the occasional word that would pop through barely, that you couldn't tell what it was. Yeah, it was like we were outside in the parking lot. The sound was so bad because the place is so big and it's a bowl. It's an echo chamber, okay? And they only had speakers on the front of the stage and at the opposite end, and there weren't enough speakers. There was no way.
They had no relay.
I walked all the way around the stadium to try and find a good spot. It sounded like shit everywhere.
Wow.
And so it was a rain or shine show, but there was a 2-hour break because of lightning, which we never saw. But there was the threat of lightning, so they stopped for 2 hours. And so we left after Joan Jett. We missed the majority of the show because we were like...
Buke and I sat through a hailstorm at Ozfest one year. It was Ozzy was coming on, right? Pantera had just left.
No, they were coming.
Pantera just got off stage. This thundercloud came in, and it brought almost 1-inch diameter hail with it. And we're sitting there in hail watching Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, I'm going to sit there through most of anything to watch Ozzy Osbourne play because that's just how I am. In fact, I got wasted before Pantera. I told him 2 weeks earlier I'm going to get wasted before Pantera and then wake up and watch Pantera and Ozzy.
We've actually heard that story.
Nice.
Wait, dude, I got to, since we're telling stories, I got to tell a story. When I went to Ozfest in Kansas City, of all places, and it rained really bad, and then people in the grass started throwing the clumps of mud down into the seats.
Mm-hmm. Inevitable.
I'll never forget, dude. When you're in high school, there was always that one guy high school who's got like that walk, and I don't know what it is, but it's some sort of weird fucked up, like scoliosis thing, and he's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, you know the walk I'm talking about? And I watched this guy walk all the way around the rim of the seats, like one of the higher kind of things. And I just remember like mentally trying to protect this guy from the fine lumps of glass. I was just like, please don't hit that poor son of a bitch. And to be fair,
that's
he made
the
it all the way to the other
drugs
side.
and alcohol walk.
No. It was some sort of dysfunction the poor bastard had. So it's like watching the guy in a wheelchair go around, and it's just like, please don't hit this guy with grass. And he made it. He made it okay.
Right.
That's it. That's my whole fucking
him.
story.
So and I just want to finish that up by just saying, I realize it wasn't probably directly the Foo Fighters' fault, but being that this was their show, they should have taken a little more responsibility for the sound because it's fucking horrible. And there was nothing but complaints online. Everybody was complaining about the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
The fucking toilets ran out of toilet paper in the women's bathrooms. They ran out of food. The whole thing was a clusterfuck.
I love Dave Grohl. I mean, Foo Fighters, I could take him or leave him. But yeah, I agree with you. The performer needs to be in charge of the sound. Not necessarily front of house, but at least if they're getting shitty sound on stage, they should know something's going on in the
They should have been checking this. All they had to do was sound check, which I'm sure they did,
Yeah.
and have somebody out in the seats going, "Hey guys, this is horrible."
What's he laughing at? Go ahead, Jeff.
It's a private sex joke that Duke and I are going.
Okay.
Hey, George, I'll tell you, I actually saw, without even trying, I saw a lot of complaints about that show. People saying RFK is the worst fucking place to have a show.
Oh, it's horrible.
I'll never
It's
go to
horrible.
another stadium show.
There you go.
It's horrible. I have actual grass from when they used to have football games at RFK that I grew and it died. So that tells you.
There you go.
It's just shit all around.
All right.
So I hear it.
Moving
Lame.
on. There was a listener request asking us what upcoming shows we were going to. I know I've got a couple. Does anybody else have any upcoming shows?
Well, the April
I got-
15th or August 15th.
Yep, we're going to barbecue, us three.
Yep,
That's one of them.
barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're going?
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, boy.
We're going. Lamb
I'm
of
getting in the
God.
water, by the way.
You're going to Lamb of God?
Yeah.
Okay. Jay, you going to any shows coming up?
I am going to see High and Fire and Paul Bear.
Sweet.
And,
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Bear.
And
Nice.
and I'm going to see Mutoid Man. They're coming. And I'm so into those guys right now. I'm going to go see them. So that's... Oh, and you know what, dude? I just found out Vaskar, whatever you pronounce it. They're here
The
playing.
Athosmoth.
They're playing where my band just played, and it's just this totally small show. They're the opening band. I'm gonna go down and check that out.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it. That's all I got.
Support local bands for sure.
I've
Where are
got-
they
The
from?
best. Go ahead, George. Sorry.
I think they're from New
Where-
York.
Who?
Okay.
Flatnet Visca?
That's-
Not New
yeah.
Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Littleton? Is it Littleton?
I'm going to be going to see the Faith No More show at the Meriwether
yeah.
Post Pavilion August 2nd, I think it is. And then after that, of course, I'm going to the Barbecue.
Gay style.
And I would like to, if I can, squeeze in the High on Fire Paul Bearer show right before I leave for Seattle. So I'm probably all by myself on that one because it's during the week. But if I can, I'd like to go to that.
Paul Bear, dude.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I want to go on record. I want to go on record right now, and you guys can hold me to it. I'm buying tickets for Death Fest.
Which
this
go,
week.
Nice.
Yeah, the tickets go on sale Wednesday, which will be before you hear this. But by the time you hear this, they will be on sale.
Yes.
I'll have mine Wednesday, so we got to talk beforehand so I know what I'm buying.
Yes, I'm waiting for them to post the schedule so I know which days I want to go to.
Which
Okay.
I don't see it here in the news that we have, but
No.
they introduced the final round of bands.
Right, but they haven't done the
What is
There's days
the
yet.
final round?
But recently they just announced Testament.
Oh, nice.
Kind of quietly. Testament wasn't like this big. They didn't put it's not like in a huge font. That's how
They're
they
at the
showed
top, though. Paradise Lost.
yeah.
Nice.
I was so happy for you, George, when that came out. I
started-
was like, George is freaking.
George is going to love that.
Yeah, I think it's a really strong lineup they've got, and Buke's been kind of like, meh. So I've actually been going through the flyer, and all the bands that I know are at least halfway decent. I'm making a little list a sub list, and I'm going to be like basically trying to convince Buke between now and then that these are some really cool bands. So there's going to be a whole bunch of convincing Bukes coming up at some point.
I don't understand why you need it. I mean, you're his mentor for the most part.
Yeah.
From what I
He should just believe me, right?
Exactly, right? You should just say, okay, these are good bands. I'm going to go
Take my word for it, damn it. See, he's got the right
I
attitude.
understand, right?
No, I mean, it's understandable. If he doesn't know him, he doesn't, hey, burrito. Burrito.
There it is. Hey, I'll tell you one band I'm excited about. Hail of Bullets, man. I love those guys.
Yeah.
Hail of Bullets?
Yeah, it's the singer from Asphyx, and not Asphyx, as in asphyxiate.
They make great records.
I've never
I'm looking forward to
actually heard
seeing
of those guys.
And
I'll
Venom.
have to check that out.
Man.
Yep. All right. Next item. It's taking us forever to get anywhere. I just wanted to mention a book that I picked up recently. It's by Ramon Martos. It's called Injustice for Art. It's a cool, slick, glossy book that talks basically about the origin of a bunch of heavy metal album covers.
Nice.
There's Rain and Blood, and there's Rainbow Rising, and
it's about time the artists get some introduction.
it's
There's
it's a
few
really
books out
cool
there
book.
Well, I'll say here though that I didn't know about it until it showed up at the library where I work, and it is cool. It's a super cool book, man.
Yeah, it's a limited run. He only printed like 300 copies.
I didn't know that.
Does it actually have artwork in it?
Well, yeah, it's it's like glossy stuff. It's like the picture of the album cover on one page, and then the next page they give all the details, like who painted it, when it was painted, and
cool.
and then just like a little page or two about the artist talking about, oh well, this is what I thought of when I did this, and
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, because we're all artists coming together, right? I mean,
it's just really interesting to know these backstories for some of the album covers, and you're like, whoa. And sometimes there's stuff where an artist did an album cover for one band, and you're like, oh, I totally know that album cover, and then it turns out that they did an album cover for another band that you never would have guessed that was them.
Right. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I've actually gone to seek artists for album covers. And there a lot of artists that I've actually gone to get album covers from have already done album covers for other bands. So you're expecting to be like, explain, like, okay, this is what I need. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're a metal band. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, listen to your album. I'll figure something out. My
example here is the Rainbow Rising album art, which is Buke just fucking loves that album. The artist that did the Rainbow Rising album artwork is a guy named Ken Kelly, and he did these right here on either side of me.
Man of War,
he did the Man of War, faceless warrior stranger guys artwork. He did the Fighting the World and the Kings of Metal, the Triumph of Steel. He did all of this stuff.
He's actually a well-known artist, man.
Yeah, and I would have never known that this is the guy that did Rainbow Rising. So
other than for reading this book.
Other than reading this book, yeah. So it's a really cool book.
Well, yeah, go out. What's the title?
It's called And Justice for Art by Ramon Martos.
There you go read that book. Really, I mean, if you want to know anything about the artists that do the covers for the albums that you rock out to, check that out. It's awesome. Hell yeah.
All right, so somebody sent me a YouTube video about a week ago, and I wanted to share. Have you guys ever heard about this band called Mac Sabbath? It's a
my bass player kept telling me about it. He's posted it on his Facebook page. But continue, George. So I have seen it.
It's a band that dress up in McDonald's characters. So like the singer dressed like Ronald McDonald, the guitar player is Mayor McCheese. The bass player is Grimace, and the drummer is the Hamburglar.
That's awesome.
But they all have like something strange about them. Like the Mayor McCheese guy has tusks, and they do Black Sabbath songs with McDonald's themed lyrics.
So it's like a Slipknot on gayroids.
I don't know what it is, but it's really strange, and it's pretty funny and amusing. So if you want to check it out, just go on YouTube and look up Mac Sabbath.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny. It's cool. Funny stuff. It's good for a laugh.
Yeah.
You can tell they're just like playing some bowling alley in the show or something. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Normally, we play some music from the bands that we're interviewing or featuring, but I'm going to play you an extra special song here because this is from a friend of mine in Korea. This is my friend Sung Soo and his band Harry Big Button. They're a hard rock band from Korea. They're pretty badass, and they've got a hell of a lot of fans over there that seem to really dig them. Every time I feature anything by them, our shit blows up. So
these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
You just showed me them earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
So, Sung Soo sent me their new song called Social Network from their album that'll be coming out later this year or early next year. And he actually told me that I was going to be the first person outside of Korea to hear this song, which I felt was quite an honor.
Awesome.
And now I asked him if I could share this with all of you, and he said I could. So here's the song Social Network from Harry Big Button. You may have been missing the podcast for a couple of weeks, and that's because we've just been very busy, and I've been out of town. I was on vacation to Myrtle Beach for a week. My wife likes to go to the beach and hang out, and for me, that's an opportunity to sit on the beach, watch the waves, and commune with metal.
I remember a couple years ago, this is when you got hooked on November's Doom.
Yes, that's right. That's a good pull there.
Also playing at Death Fest.
Yes. And so now it's sort of a ritual with me. Every time I go to the beach, I load up on new music that I want to listen to try and really focus on some stuff and find some new bands that I like. And I went a little overboard this year. Ton of bands that I downloaded onto my phone and listened to, and there's a huge list that I just want to run through kind of quickly. Some of them I already mentioned during our, our list discussion earlier, stuff like Wild Run and stuff like that. And I'm just going to run through this kind of quickly, but these are some bands that you should probably check out. Everybody have their pens and pencils ready because you're going to want to write these down. These are actually in alphabetical order.
You purist.
Nah, it was just easier that way because I was going through my phone to write them down. All right, first up is a band called Amiensus, Amiensus, and their album Ascension. They're an American progressive black metal band. This is their second album. I heard their first album on Bandcamp a couple years ago. I dug it. I downloaded it. I saw this new one was out. I downloaded it.
John's going to go through and listen to every one of these bands. It better be good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's black metal, but it's very progressive. There's a lot of clean vocals and stuff. Next one is a band that I've heard of before, and it was just recently that I finally sat down and listened to them. It's a band called Bastard Sapling, and their second album called Instinct is Forever. They're from Richmond, and this is actually a black metal album that came out last year. So check these guys out.
From Richmond.
From Richmond, Virginia.
Nice.
Next one is a band called Blaze of Perdition and their album Near Death Experience. This is the third album from a Polish black metal band. It's pretty good. Check it out. Next one up is Blood Moon Collective and Limitless Complex. This is the second EP from an Ontario progressive death band. I've been digging that one a lot. Next up is a band called Endless Shade, Wolf Will Swallow the Sun. It's the first album from a Ukrainian blackened death doom band.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. I think Buke and everybody else would like this one. Next up, this one really surprised me, is a band called Inner Sanctum and Legions Awake. This is the first album from a Bangalore, India death metal band.
Wow.
And
Nice.
I was blown away by how fucking incredible the sound is on this album.
Nice.
It's just probably one of
What
the
was
top
that name
albums.
again?
Inner Sanctum.
Do they give who they recorded with, or
I'd have to look. It's probably on their Bandcamp page.
okay, check
But
that
it's
out.
Hey,
a
man.
really good album. I highly recommend it.
India is the next Brazil for metal. No joke. That's happening. over
Totally.
there right now.
Yeah,
All right. The next one is this one's for Will. This is Irreversible Mechanism, Infinite Fields. It's a Belarus band. Their first album of technical death metal. It's that like super technical crazy shit. It's good stuff. Check it out. This next one, I can't pronounce the band's name or the album, but I'm going to give it a shot. The band is called Canseal. It's Kanseil. And their album, Doen Earde, Doinearde. It's an Italian folk metal band.
Somebody's driving right now being like, fuck.
yeah. Just make sure
Fuck,
the spelling's correct.
It's their first album. It's folk metal. It's weird that it's Italian because they have bagpipes, which as soon as you have
Awesome.
bagpipes, you got me. This next one, I have just lost my mind over it. I've been telling Buke and Jay about it thus far. I don't know that they've listened to it or if they have what they think, but this is like possibly my number 2 album now. It's a band called Chemis, Khemmis,
Yep, this is a good one.
and their album Absolution. It's their first album from this Colorado doom band.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
take. Go ahead.
it's clean vocals with the occasional harsh vocals. I think John will really like this one.
That's what I like about it.
This is a strong one.
You get
It
the
is.
you get the clean singing and that's what I've always liked. That is the clean. That's what I like about Opeth so much. Michael Ackerfeld goes from clean to hard, and it's just like, if you can do that, not many singers can pull off screaming their brains out and then go into a soft singing. Ghost Reveries, for example. Look
Yeah.
at that.
I'm very proud to say, George, that was one I found probably about the same time as you, just because I always go through a bunch of stuff. I go through Bandcamp and whatnot, but on iTunes, that was one of the featured new releases. So, I always push play on stuff, and I bought that right away. And then, unfortunately, we got a demo shortly thereafter. But
Yeah,
it's good.
I was waiting for it because I wanted to get the FLAC file, and it's just fucking badass. I fucking love that album. The next one is one that was recommended to us by Gregory W.J. Kelly, and it's a band that I'd heard of before, but I revisited them after his recommendation. It's a band called Mare Infinitum, and their second album of Russian death doom, Alien Monolith God.
Nice.
This is a pretty interesting album. It's like death doom in a way, but then there's some like
Black.
there's clean vocals that aren't really like typical death doom clean vocals. It's a little more progressive, I guess, and
Nice.
it's very good. Definitely
Nice.
check it out. This next one is a band from Australia. It's a one-man band. They're called Midnight Odyssey, and this is I think it's the second album called Shards of Silver Fade. This fucking album is 2 hours and 22 minutes long.
Damn.
8 songs, and like most of them are like 14 to 20 minutes long.
And this cat wrote everything and recorded
Yes.
everything himself? Wow.
I had high hopes for this one. I think it's cool, but be prepared to sit through a lot of keyboards.
Instrumental.
Like, there's
breaks.
a lot of instrumental keyboard, sort of new agey kind of stuff, but it's worth a listen. It is a very
How many songs?
8 songs.
8 songs in 2 hours. That's
All right, this next one, we're past halfway now. This next
May I
one,
suggest? I'm sorry. Can you type?
that's halfway.
Can you type these up and put them on the Facebook?
Yeah, definitely.
sure. It's already typed up here. All right, this next one is a Polish black metal band and their first album. This is the band Outre, which is spelled O-U-T-R-E, and it's their album Ghost Chants. This is it's black metal, but it's interesting. I don't even know what to say. You should just listen to it.
Where
It's
are
different.
these guys from?
They're from Poland.
Poland.
Yep.
Nice.
Next up is a band that I've heard of plenty of times before. It just happens to be they have a new album. This is another of the revolting Raga Johansson one-man Swedish death scene. Revolting. Visages of the Unspeakable. This is their 5th album. This guy, like I said, he's a one-man Swedish death metal scene. He's in a bunch of
Yeah.
bands.
But he rocks.
He does. And, it's more of the same. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's good Swedish death metal. I think Puke probably would dig it.
I loved all that third world metal.
Third world. They're better off than we are.
Yeah, really. Right?
This next one comes to us courtesy of one of the guys from Demon Scribblers. This one's a band called Rings of Saturn, and their album Lual Ki En. They're a California technical deathcore band. This is their 3rd album. This album, we were talking about it on Twitter. It's pretty fucking crazy. It's technical stuff, but it's kind of interesting.
Like Dream Theater type?
No, I mean it's very death.
Huh.
It's pretty wanky, but it's worth checking out, particularly
Nice.
if you like that sort of
From
thing.
California.
From California,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
This next one is a band that's also on the A389 Baltimore label that has Noisem and Ilsa and some other of their ilk. This is a band called Seven Sisters of Sleep, and their 2013 second album, Opium Morals.
Oh, from Baltimore.
They're from LA, but the label's from Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sludge album. It was kind of cool. All right, we're in the home stretch. Only a couple more.
So you would think from this list, George's vacation was 7 months long.
Yeah.
This is what he comes up with in a night.
All right. Next one's a band called Tulsa Doom, Storms of the Netherworld. It's an Austrian black and thrash band. It's their second album. I dig it. Check it out on Bandcamp. Most of the stuff you can find on Bandcamp. That's
You mean
probably
they're
where I
not from
found it.
Oklahoma?
Nope.
George dropped $100 on music before he left.
All right, this next one, I actually heard about. It was on the list of Nine Circles' brother Corey. It's a band called Valborg,
Oh, yeah.
and their album Romantic with the K. It's the 5th album from this German progressive death doom band. It's really kind of cool and like chill, but it's death doom. So check that out. Two more. Second to last is Valkyrie and their 3rd album,
Yes.
Shadows.
Yeah.
These guys are
Now
a
you're talking.
doom metal band from Virginia. We'll be seeing them at the Barbecue.
Did you say Doom?
They are doom, yeah.
Yep. Hell
What
yeah.
else would it be? It's clean
a
vocals and
little
heavy.
sludge.
Nah, not really. I mean,
It's
maybe
a great
little.
album.
They're
Yes.
at the Doom Festival, aren't they?
At the
We're going to see him
at
at
the barbecue.
Barbecue. That's what. Yeah.
Yep.
what I meant, people.
And finally, the last one on my extensive list of bands that you should check out. I can't pronounce this band either. It's Zatokrev, Zatokrev, and they're
Just making this shit up now, man.
it's a Swiss band, and their fourth album of death doom sludge called Silk Spiders Underwater.
George
Did you
is
get
the
all
only-
that?
It's Silk
George is the
There you
only
go.
guy.
underwater.
If you listen to this podcast and you still don't have shit to listen to, fucking George just hit you with 25 of them.
I cannot
nothing
wait
else,
to. I cannot wait to see the Spotify playlist from this motherfucker.
If nothing else, there are some seriously creative names.
If you don't
involved
tweet
here.
us and have a new album you're listening to, you haven't been listening. And
Yeah.
George, please, you hit me with so much. Fucking please put this on Facebook or something.
Yeah, I'll send this
post
list out.
up. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, post this list.
All right, I think it is finally time to get into our interview with Joel Violette of Thrawsunblat.
That's the way I'm gonna say it from now
Yeah,
on.
this guy's beyond awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was really
a
fun
great interview. We had a blast. Thank you so much, Joel, for coming on. Hopefully, maybe we can get you back on again when the new album does actually drop, because we'd love to talk to you again.
Hell yeah.
So without further ado, here is Joel Violette from Thrawsunblat.
Go Canada.
This week's featured band. This week's featured band. This week's featured band. Listen to this band.
Hello and welcome to the Metalheads podcast. My name is George,
This is Buke.
This is Jay.
and we are here today with Joel Violette from Thrawsunblat. How you doing today, Joel?
Oh, just great. How are you guys doing?
We are doing well. It is hot as hell here today. What's it like up there?
Where are you guys anyway?
We are in Maryland.
And I'm in San Francisco, and it's actually hot here today too.
I didn't check it, but it's got to be upper 90s already.
Oh man, we got to do the conversion, don't we? What's it?
Oh yeah,
what's the
Fahrenheit.
-9/5? What's the?
No, actually, it's half it and -30. I swear to God, I learned that in Ireland. So what is it?
okay,
90. So minus is 45 minus 30. It's 15 degrees for you.
Jeez,
How's that math?
Right on.
15 degrees.
Or Celsius, right?
Well, I think it's about 17 Celsius right now, and it's cold. But,
I nailed it.
I wish I was there. Aside from the fact that you probably live in one of the most beautiful places around, my parents were up there and they went through there on their way to Nova Scotia.
Yes.
They took all kinds of pictures, and I'm like, I'm trying to convince my wife we got to go up there.
Oh, it's a gorgeous part of the continent, and it's it's
Joe,
great.
you're
Great day out here.
where in Canada exactly?
Right in Fredericton, New Brunswick, right above Maine. For
Yep.
anybody who knows, is based on the U.S. states for their geography.
It's between Maine and Nova Scotia.
Yep.
Right on.
All right, well, we are super stoked to have you. I can't believe I said stoked. We are super excited to have you here today, Joel.
No, I'm glad you said it because that's a pretty good Canadian word. So.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna throw in some A's
Yep.
and get some toques on, and I'll have to reference my Strange Brew days for all the humorous Canadian terms. I'll say a boot. Got that
Yep.
one from South Park.
We've got in Canada. I mean, that's kind of, the boot thing is kind of like the Ontario accent, and out here on the East Coast, it's more of an about thing.
A boat. I knew it. Damn it. I wanted a chance to get in there. That's awesome, man.
Right?
Yeah, I was in the States for a little while. I went to school down there for a bit, and one of the classes that we had to take, part of the degree, was like a speech communications class. So one of the things was to do a speech and to teach somebody something. So I taught everyone how to speak Canadian. And
George, do you have your English to Canadian dictionary over there, by the way? We're going to need that.
No.
At least he's not from Montreal, because then he'd be thinking he's better than all of us.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was just going to say I had a speech class where we had to teach people how to do things, and mine was I taught people how to play a record backwards.
Oh, right on. So you've signed them all onto the cause of Satan.
Yeah, this was in like 1988, somewhere around there. So it was like the before vinyl died out the first time, and I brought it in. I actually played Def Leppard's Hysteria because it had the most unevil record ever, but it did have a really prominent backwards message on Gods of War. So
What was it?
If you play it backwards, it says we've been fighting with the gods of war.
Oh man, I feel like this
And
interview
that's
is like-
why he lost his arm, because you played that song backwards.
He already had his arm lost by then. Anyway, I guess we should get into this. So we know you have a new album coming out soon, Thrawsunblat 3, Metathonia. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what's going on with that and when we might be seeing that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd love to know when we're going to be seeing it too. No, it's the album's basically it's probably 99.9% complete, and we've got I think there's probably I don't know, a couple vocal parts left to do, but that's really the tail end of it. Especially with the process that we have is pretty. It's not all that conventional, so it ends up being different parts happen at different times, and so right now we've got all the drums done, all the cellos done, and all the guitars, all the bass, and most of the vocals. And what we do basically, since we're all in different parts of the continent, we all do our parts in our respective studios, and then send it all over to the sort of headquarters of the album, which ends up being Siegfried Meyer at Beach Road Studios, who puts it all together. And so he, of course, is as busy as the rest of us, and so he's got 3 or 4 things he's working on right now, so he's kind of squeezing it in when he can. So that's sort of it's nice because it's extended the process just a little bit, just long enough to kind of mull it over enough to see bits that you don't like and then fix them.
Joel, I want to kind of jump in here real quick and just tell you that that you may piece it together, and a lot of people do that in the in this internet world. But I got to tell you, man, the sound quality on your stuff pretty top notch, dude. For piecing them together like that, sounds really good.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So you're in New Brunswick, and I know Brendan's out of Boston. Is Ray there too?
Ray was in Boston for a bit, but she's been in Chicago for the last couple of years.
I was wondering about that because I noticed that her band Immortal Bird is listed as coming out of Chicago.
Yes, yeah, and that's her main thing there, and it's they just put out a new album like 2 days ago.
Yep, we just got that. We were talking about it the other day.
Yeah,
I must have missed that they were connected. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I got to tell you, that record's awesome.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, I've been listening to Brendan's band too, Obsidian Tongue.
Yep,
I just discovered them a few weeks ago, and wow, that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah, it's I don't know what word to use here. Blessed is one of them to be be able to work with such fantastic musicians. Because Ray and Brendan both have their in their own right are doing pretty amazing things, and to have them add their own touches to this stuff is it's quite a thing to have in one's pocket. So it's great.
Joel, go ahead, George. Just that kind of since we're starting out here, we're just getting started this interview, I really want to know, I got to tell you, one thing that comes across about your stuff to me is just, and I hope this isn't a bad word, but it's super authentic. And I got to know, like, what influenced you? How did you kind of start out on this kind of music, this particular subgenre? And I mean, like, seriously, man, it sounds to me like this is coming out of Europe, and that's and that's like a compliment to me. So
I don't think I could think of a better compliment. Yeah.
So, tell us about your path up to this a little bit, if you can.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and I'm sure my explanation here will probably tell you why it's such a big compliment. I mean, started out listening to this stuff, of course, Emperor and all the fantastic, Scandinavian bands. And well, the path to, getting the stuff actually made was, of course, a pretty interesting one. And basically I started out listening to a bunch of European stuff, and that's the stuff that really has always resonated with me, just because it has, it's just really, really genuine, and it has that, that sort of rawness, of the landscapes and that sort of thing. And then I heard this album, from Woods of Ypres, Pursuit of the Sun and the Lure of the Earth, and coming out of Canada. And so I bought that on mail order from Dave Gold, and so got that from him in the mail, and then I sent him a demo CD of my own. And so we were back and forth, kind of, emails and that sort of thing. I think that was 2005 when that was going. Anyway, so kind of a few years later, I'd sent him a couple more, and then I did one demo that put Dave over the edge. That ended up being Black Sky, and he's like, "Joel, how'd you like me to drum for you on an album?" And that, to me, that was just like, it's like Dave Grohl asking you to join the Foo Fighters,
Yeah.
And
It's like Joel Violette coming on your podcast.
Yeah, that's great. And and so of course it did it, and it was cool because the stuff that I was doing was really folky and really it was and it had lots of good melodies and stuff, and Dave added this like ferocity to it with the drums, and it kind of just solidified the whole thing. Like when I heard it all, kind of his drum parts like drumming along to these demos, it was just this I guess sound sort of solidified. All this kind of these folky, some of the riffs, if I were to critique some of my own riffs, some of them are a little bit too nice sometimes maybe, and then Dave's drums just turn them into these like beasts, and so it ends up being sort of a combination of the folkiness and the sort of getting I guess the atmosphere and the sort of landscape, that sort of aspect to it all, and then having it in this like really brutal kind of aggressive medium, and they're just full of sort of energy, and that's I guess I think that answers the question.
No, it really does. I did want to tell you, there's a lot of stuff you guys remind me of, but there's a record that you kind of remind me of in particular, and I always hear it in little bits of especially the Thrawsunblat stuff. Did you know a band called Nordavind? They had like one record a while ago. Do you know them, George?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you haven't heard that record, you might check it out. Very, very sounds like one of your roots records to me.
Nordavind.
I can't remember the name.
Bells.
Hard to find, but it's like that's the name of the band. I can't remember the name of the album, to be perfectly honest. But anyway,
I think it's funny, Jay, that you said that it sounds European to you, because to me it actually sounds very much Canadian, and
Right
I
on.
base that on Woods of Ypres.
Right on.
Like Thrawsunblat and Woods of Ypres are like my two favorite Canadian bands, to be perfectly honest. And both of these bands have a very, a black metal sound, but also like particularly with Thrawsunblat, you have that like sort of maritime folk element. And
Right on.
Which really separates it from like the Scandinavian stuff for me. I mean, they have
Like I said,
obviously
yes.
there's folk metal
Yeah.
over there, but
Like I said yesterday, the band that shines through the most, that and they're not the same band, of course, but like I said yesterday, Winterfell, that English folk sound,
Oh yeah,
kind of
yeah.
shines through.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of theirs. They do some great stuff. One thought that just occurred to me when you guys were talking about the maritime folk element of it. So when you're listening, to bands like Fintroll and or Vindir, however you want to pronounce that one.
Yeah.
You press play and it hauls you right over there to Finland and to Norway, and all this sort of thing. And it was neat because there was nothing like that, at least for me, obviously for the Maritimes. And what I kind of wanted to do was to create that sort of thing for Eastern Canada and that maritime sound. People pressing play in Finland, getting hauled over here if I could. So
Yeah,
it's kind of,
it totally does that for me.
that's cool. That's really cool.
Going with that, Joel, trying to think off the top of my head, there's not a lot of bands that I can think of here in North America that do this genre of music well.
yeah, I agree.
A lot of them, we just mentioned a bunch of them overseas. Was this something, again, you're mentioning what bands you grew up listening to. What made you actually take that step to start playing this that a lot of bands here, stateside and up in Canada aren't playing? Was this your first, I guess the question is, was this your first genre you started dabbling in?
How did you evolve to this sound?
Yes, exactly. Thank you for being smarter than me, George.
Well, it's cool because this stuff was just, it just kind of, I just started writing riffs and that sort of thing, and those are the things that I just, when you're jamming around on the guitar, you play stuff that you like, and so a lot of these riffs just kind of poured out of me, and the first song I ever like wrote. Well, I mean, I guess that I can remember at least was what ended up being Misted Shores off of the first one. Mm-hmm. And and so it just ended up being these really folky riffs that I really liked that just kind of just was just writing songs, and that just ended up being the the genre that I enjoyed, I guess, working in, or however you want to put it.
Any reason why you think this genre hasn't really done so well over here, or you don't see a lot of bands doing it?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's funny because the Maritimes, I think, there are probably 1 million people in Atlantic, Canada, maybe 1.5 million, something like that. Maybe, under 2 million for sure. And the point I'm trying to make is that it's the population of the Maritimes is smaller than, Toronto, you know, and so it's a little more. It's tough to get, a big kind of scene in any sort of, at least in metal, something that has such a small percentage of people who are into it.
I tell you, if it wasn't this age of Bandcamp and Facebook we live in, God, the odds would be stacked against you guys to even break out and make a name for yourself. Period.
Go ahead.
No, go for it. I was just agreeing.
I just think, just to kind of support my own case, I think there's a European sensibility to it too. I mean, and I totally hear the Canadian thing, but I think that's part of it, Buke. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's everything just from the way we're brought up to the kind of values we live with. I think that's one of the reasons it hasn't really taken root here. And I couldn't tell you what that magic X factor is, though, which is really one of the reasons I feel like sort of praising your stuff so much. You've got a kind of emotional and connection to that I don't think a lot of people can pull off here. I don't know why. Well, I agree with you.
It'd be pretty lame if somebody from Atlanta, Georgia was like writing about the mountains of, and the trees and everything, and the northern cold, and like, that would be pretty lame. So,
no, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
We can sing a lot of songs about the traffic here in the DC metro area.
Yeah, so they're all punk songs.
Yeah, Fugazi.
Yeah, I guess I was just kind of lucky enough to pop into existence in such a beautiful place with such a rich, kind of folk heritage and stuff. But it's neat that you mentioned, the South, because you guys have listened to Panopticon, of course.
Yeah, sure.
And so Austin's doing some with the Southern sort of folk thing, and so that's really neat too.
They got that bluegrass thing going on.
Yeah. Austin's done some pretty cool stuff, and so I don't know. It's one of those things that you guys are talking about, sort of like the genuine, or some sort of authenticity to it or whatever. I think it just ends up being that I just love the stuff that I just love the songs. I guess it's just one of those things that I put a lot into them,
right?
And I don't know. I feel like there's so many aspects to music, or being a musician or being in metal, and some people are, I don't know, I guess I don't know, there's some bands that are really good, they just pour out everything in a live performance, but maybe I don't know how to put it, but maybe I guess they put a lot of energy more into the performance than actually. Where am I going with this? It's sort of a thing where
it's they worry about trying to dazzle the fans up on stage.
Thank you.
But their work in the studio, it sounds like, was this recorded on a high school 4-track?
Yeah, I think maybe that's the thing, is that I put a lot of time into the actual songs themselves, because that to me that's I guess what's important to me.
That just leads me to one question that quickly hit me here. I know George has a whole list of questions, and he's like, Buke, shut up. Joe, in this genre, and Jay hit on it earlier, your guys' quality of sound and recording sounds out of this world. What is your thoughts about those bands that kind of stick with that early black metal sound, where it's the raw, it sounds dirty, guttural, it sounds cheap?
The old Dark Throne sound.
Exactly. Because that, to me, I don't like.
Well, I think whatever medium the song or the album has, if the thing that the artist is trying to put into the song is able to get conveyed through it to the listener, then if that works for the song, then it's all good. Cool. But if, you know what I mean? Like, some songs, just wouldn't work that way. Yeah, and some songs can only work that way.
Hey, I call it innovation, man. I honestly, it's sort of pushing it into new realms, and I to change up some of the more traditional ways of producing it. I couldn't be more sincere. I really think that's good. You may single-handedly pull us into a new era here. It's just a big statement, I realize, but Hey, man, I got to ask you a question just before we get to George, because George is going to roll on you for a while being here. But I love the introduction to Life Lore Revelation. It's just like a wonderful vaudeville weird thing. I got to know why you did that, how it came about.
Well, I love that you asked that because it actually has a kind of a neat story. So I was just, it was actually, where were we? I think it was in 2010 maybe, or 2011. It was actually right before one of the Woods tours. This is when Dave and I were planning the second Thrawsunblat album. And, we were doing Wood stuff, but we were kind of, it's on the back burner, so we had chats about it. I was sitting, like, we were having coffee at breakfast or something, and I just went over to the piano and just started, like, jamming that riff. It actually had been, the stuff that comes later in the song was written first, so I was just kind of jamming on the piano. And Dave, like, looked up from his coffee and was like, hey, what's that? I was just like, oh, just a riff I've been working on for Thrawsunblat 2. And he's like, okay, that's the intro. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that's folky as fuck.
It's beautiful. I take this with a grain of salt, because it's not a sense of humor thing necessarily, but to me, it seems like you're watching some sort of old silent film, and then the whole world just goes to hell shortly thereafter. Yeah. It's really great, man. I love it. It's really good.
That's good. I mean, it's funny because I think I remember a few reviews kind of fired on that little intro pretty heavy and just like took it right down. And I was like, gee, feeling pretty bad about it, but it's like. Yeah, so
it's great.
I thought I was listening to the wrong album. There's all this piano.
No, it's beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, I thought it was a good way to kind of set. This thing's gonna be folky, so listen up, and then all of a sudden everything else comes in just smashes it wide open. So
no, it's perfect, man. It's very cool. Very cool touch. George, come on, man. Let's get to some of the questions on your list here.
All right. I'm going to bring it back to the new album again. Remember the new album like 20 minutes ago?
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Anyway, so is the new album going to be a concept album like the last album, or is this going to be more like the first album?
It's going to be a concept album for sure.
Sweet.
So the last album actually was more of a concept album on, so Joseph Campbell's Here with 1,000 Faces, the monomyth. Yeah, so I actually the album itself ends up being structured like the monomyth, which is kind of neat. But this one, there's no sort of the monomyth isn't featured in it, but it's definitely probably even tighter of a concept than the last one. Yeah, so I suppose you'll probably want to know what that concept is.
That's up to you if you want to put that out there yet.
No, it's good. So let me just find the little definition I made for the album title.
Sure.
You probably hear me tapping away here.
It's about Canada beating USA again in hockey for the gold.
Okay, so so of course, Metathonia is cool because I Googled it before I made the titled the album that to make sure that it hadn't been used. Well, at least in any weird way, so whatever. But it turns out it hadn't been used, and it's just putting a Greek prefix onto a Greek word. So basically, how I came to it was, and this ends up being sort of the concept of the entire album. It's sort of okay. So in the little definition I gave, it's like Metathonia is the epoch after the age of the earth, and so meta means after, and Chthonia. Or Thonia, however you want to pronounce it, it's sort of, of the earth, that sort of thing. And so that is kind of I was trying to find a word to describe like now, like this modern kind of way we're living. Not in any good or bad, with any of those connotations, just sort of a neat way to describe it without, having to use 10 words. So it ends up just referring to how, say 500 years ago, we kind of lived not at the mercy of, but just, when it rained, we got wet. When it got cold, we got cold, that sort of thing. So we were kind of, the age of the earth kind of thing, up until, about say 100 years ago or whenever, when, we got electricity and we could have light 24 hours a day and that sort of thing. Anyway, just referring to now when we're sort of these, I guess, hunter-gatherers really, kind of living in this electric age where we get screens everywhere and light all the time and sitting at desks and like just sort of
we're like Neanderthals living in a really nice hotel.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So just sort of a way to describe that whole little spiel I just went on in a word, if I could, to be able to kind of talk about it.
God, I wish I could be that fucking smart, Joel.
Jeez,
Jeez.
it's not smart. It's just friggin' taking 2 years to pound your head on a desk.
But you know what? Hey, you can't be that smart though. So that's good that you realize that.
Exactly. Joe, I would love to have seen your list of album names you had on paper that were scratched out, and you went back, this and that. The eternal struggle you had with yourself.
Dark Side of the Moon? No. Power Slave? No.
Yeah.
And then at the point you start writing on the walls. You're like, that's it.
There's a room filled up with Metathonia written on every inch of the walls.
That's great. Well, it was between the Greek version there's actually, Latin and Greek, they end up having a lot of prefixes that like correspond. And so the Latin version of that would be something like post Terrania or something like that. And I thought Metathonia sounded better.
Yeah, it does.
So,
It's cool.
Yeah. So it's I guess it was so that's kind of the concept. It talks about that concept, like us being here now and this sort of how we are. And I guess trying to find, the 10 cent version is finding not meaning, but like finding stuff to enjoy in it. Being these sort of I guess that's sort of like 10 cent. But yeah, just sort of the things that that we can sort of like connect to and kind of that I don't know, kind of enhance us or make us just make us feel good. Because for me at least, staring at a computer screen for 10 hours a day doesn't make me feel very good. Whereas for example, running around.
If I'm killing kids on Call of Duty, it makes me feel pretty good, Joel.
Yeah, that can be one of them then. But for example, one of the things I like doing is trail running, that sort of thing. That makes me feel good, and just sort of anyway. So it kind of explores. Each song is sort of a thing that we have that where okay. It's a thing where I guess I gotten really tired of the sort of like whatever routine I'd kind of gotten into that was, I kind of felt a little bit, burnt out from, being on, doing the sort of electronic thing, 10 hours a day on the screen and that sort of thing. And I was trying to find ways to kind of, enhance sort of how, my existence and that sort of thing. And there's a few things that we can kind of connect to that, that make us feel human in this electric age kind of thing.
Not to cheapen your whole answer there, but I kept, and that was beautiful, Joe, by the way. You should come and
thank you for sharing all that.
But I kept wanting that to sort of slightly at the end go towards, and that's why I realized that man is the ultimate prey, and I spend my time hunting people in the park.
It almost makes your album covers kind of make sense.
It's a great explanation.
It does.
I also wanted to ask about the style of the music on the new album. Is it going to continue in the black metal vein with the folk elements, or is it evolving?
Some rock screams.
Is it evolving into something else?
Well, I was thinking of doing a polka record, but I went with the black metal.
Weird Al may come after you then.
He's got a guest spot.
If Weird Al did a polka medley of Thrawsunblat, I'd be fucking stoked.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah. So it ends up being okay. So I did a little poll or a little question on the Thrawsunblat Facebook page. What to you is the most Thrawsunblat song? And I'll just take a little offshoot here for a second and say how amazing all the fans are. Thrawsunblat has the best fans in the world. We always have creative responses and just the coolest. People just say the coolest things, and that's could be, I love the music that we're doing, but just being able to connect with people, such fantastic people is such an amazing thing too.
That's great.
So anyway, this poll I did, what's the most Thrawsunblat song to you? And I think it ended up being not too dissimilar from the question, what's your favorite Thrawsunblat song? But the top 6 of them, I think, or the top few, ended up being of all whatever number it was, were the same song structure. So for example, Black Sky, Once Fire Veined, Vastland. So all these ones, they kind of had 2 halves to them. the first half of the song was kind of a contained unit, and then it moved on to like a second, place where the song was, and it didn't come back to the first one. And so all the ones, for example, Life Law Revelation, that one kind of is a round one where it kind of starts one place, goes somewhere else, and then comes back. So these ones, everyone's sort of favorites, ended up being these kind of two-parters that started in one place and kind of evolved into something different. So I thought about it, and so for this album, what we have is 6 songs, and each one of them is, instead of being two-parters that kind of go from one place to another, they end up being 3-parters. So they go one place, go to another place, and then end up in a third place. And so they're between 9 and 12 minutes long each.
That's awesome.
Is there a formula you follow when you write, Joel?
Hush, formulas.
I like the it's a fun thing to do to put constraints on your process and to kind of make things fit into the constraints that you
set in place for yourself.
Yeah, and I find that when you have like a sort of a place within which you're working, that's when you can really get creative instead of anyway. And so with the songs, basically the only formula was, is this feel like a self-contained section? Mm-hmm. If yes, great. Transition to the next bit, whatever that ends up being, and then once I had 3 sections that I felt good and the whole thing felt as a unit, then that's the song.
Wow, you guys should have like a little chart.
I was thinking that. I was picturing a flow chart where it's like, if this, then this, else this.
Yes, is the hair on my arms now standing up? Yes,
Joe, hearing you talk so far, one of the things that stands out is the fan reception and the fans really seem to attach on to that first Canada EP. Sorry, that demo you guys did. Mm-hmm. It seems like that's a fan favorite. You've mentioned that a bunch of tracks off of that so far.
That's cool. Yeah, I love that album. And it's just, I think it's because it's the second album was, so the first one was sort of all right, gonna get a little bit of not wordplay, but it's gonna anyway. The first album was folk and black metal, whereas I think the second album was more black and folk metal. If that makes any sense to you guys.
It does.
And so this album, I wanted to go back to.
You could set the fucking internet message boards on fire with kids going back and forth talking about that.
Yeah.
well, if it's folk and black, then it's black metal with a folk twinge. But if it's black and folk, then it's folk metal with a black twist. It makes sense to me.
That's exactly it. And so this one, I think partially because of how much people really liked the first one, I wanted to go back to have a sort of a black metal canvas and kind of with folk textures on it, that sort of thing.
When you say folk and black too with a Canadian accent, I wasn't sure what you were saying there, but I got it now. I thought it was dirty for a minute, but that's
folk and it's not Scottish.
Yes,
folk and black.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. That's Scottish.
That's great.
So I'm guessing based on some of the things you've already stated that you don't have a release date yet, but do you have like sort of a goal date, or at least like a goal month?
Wait, before you answer, can I just tell you that the actual question George is really asking with all of these is, Joel, can I please have the new Thrawsunblat album now?
No, Joel, I got a text message from George today, Joel, saying, I hope this album comes out this year, because it could be album of the year. That's how excited he is for it.
Oh.
So he's saying, should he draw his list in pencil?
Oh, I have no doubt that it's going to be at least top 3. And if it's anything like I expect, I'm sure it'll make number 1.
So let's get the answer. Let's get George, get this man some relief, please. When's this thing coming out?
So the album is painfully close to being finished. Like, it's literally, I have to send Siegfried the vocal tracks, and he has to, spend, a few days, mixing the guitars, and then, I guess putting the whole thing together, popping the vocals on it, and then, sending them back to us to kind of proof and that sort of thing. So it's probably, I'd love for it to be done by the end of August, but it's the way it's going now, it's probably going to be September, but it's coming soon. I just can't wait to just unleash this thing.
August is probably a bad time anyway. Like, there's a 3-week period the last 2 weeks of August and the first week of September, where there are just a ton of albums by like Iron Maiden and Ghost and all these people dropping in those weeks. You don't want to come out that anyway because it'll get lost in the shuffle.
Ooh, yeah, okay, that's a good. Thanks for that heads up.
Yeah, I would maybe even go like October, but send me one earlier.
Thanks, George. Yeah. Nice to see George makes the decisions for the band now. Yeah,
just saying, based on what I know about the release schedule for this year, I last thing I want is for you to get lost in the shuffle somewhere because I know that people need to hear this album.
Well, let's. Get it done first, and then we can start making those choices. That's good to. That's good to know. That's a good.
He's saying, "Calm down, George."
I just thought I'd offer a little friendly advice.
I'm as excited to hear this thing as you are. I think. Oh man. Well, I know what it's going to sound like, but Siegfried's going to have some magic in his pocket that he's just going to sprinkle it on the album, and it's going to be.
Joel, how hard is it? With you guys being, different places at different times doing this, how hard is it to get that instant? Because when you're in the studio, if you're riffing on something, people, the rest of your band members can be in the next room and they could give you that instant feedback. Is it hard to kind of tweak things and stuff when it's not done in the same place?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me so far is, when you're around, like Ray and Brendan and I. We all sort of have a very similar taste in music, or at least there's one spot that we really all are all on the same page about, and so it's nice just to be in the same room and just chat about it and figure out, does this lyric line work? What do you think about that lyric line, or like how about this or that? So it ends up being, you can still have those conversations, but via Google Hangouts or text message or whatever, it gets a little bit drawn out, like, hey, what do you think of this line? And then 4 hours later it's like, oh, sorry, I was just at work. I think it's pretty good. It's like but I think that we managed to do it somehow, like, so it's kind of cool because I'll write the song, send it over to Ray and Brendan, and they will record their parts, kind of send some demos and stuff, and I don't think I remember. Like, there's maybe one bass note I didn't like, of Brendan's, and like, anyway.
The next time you talk to Ray, I'm a new father. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I hope my daughter, I'm praying right now, my daughter grows up to be like Ray. Just a female metal badass.
Oh, isn't she though?
Dude, she's amazing. Amazing.
Definitely.
One thing you're going to like about this album then is that on one of the songs, Ray and I have a sort of a black metal duet on it. She puts her vocals on probably a good half the track.
Harsh vocals?
Yep.
Sweet.
Oh. Yeah, unreal.
Yeah, there's one of those things I'm all for, girls, they can do anything that, guys can do, and they best of, luck to them whenever they do.
They're called women.
Okay, I'm sorry. Women, they should be able to do whatever they want to fucking do, and I wish them the best. I would love to fucking walk in, see through this cloud of darkness, just her tearing up the drums, and the fucking lights come on, and it's a girl, and she's blowing your fucking mind.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
We're an equal opportunity podcast.
Yes, we are.
That's good. We're an equal opportunity band, too, so that's good.
She's amazing. Hey, Joel, any plans to ever get the group together for a tour?
Well, I mean, now's it's nice because I'm finally out of school, so I'll actually be able to plan my vacation time and that sort of thing. Ray and I we've been chatting a bit about, if the album explodes, then like we'll probably have to. It's like not even like, well, do you think we should? It's like, okay, well, we need to. So when are we doing it, kind of thing. And
you're releasing the album yourself?
Yep, on Ignifera Records again.
Excellent.
It's nice. It's worked last time. So
right on. Yeah, it's good to have that control.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. And by that I mean you. You guys have really chosen to just take care of your own kind of destiny here. So have people approached? I'm sure you must have been approached by a label or two.
Yeah, I mean, once in a while, and it ends up. I don't know. I feel like some people just don't know that we're not on a label. But it was sort of a no-brainer because we released the first one on our own, and then what we did with the second one, the sort of the crowdfund. First of all, that was just unreal. The amount of support that we had from all the fans, and I think the way that the album works and the way that our schedules all work. I think it's just, there's no, like, I'm the one who has to sort of, put it together. So I kind of know when things are backed up, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's, no one has to go explaining to a record label, like, oh, sorry, it's not done. But, anyway, it's nice and sort of, it's pretty seamless.
Yeah, nobody's telling you what to do. I mean,
Yep.
that's great and good for you. And I don't know if a label changes your destiny that much these days anyway. So,
No.
yeah, I mean, you're putting together nice packages too. By the way,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, the just really nice looking artwork, just good stuff, dude.
Yeah, that leads me into my next question, the one that I'm sure all three of us have been wondering. I recently pre-ordered the vinyl version of Canada 2010 from Lost 40 Recordings.
Yes.
Are there any plans to do a vinyl version of Wanderer, and for that matter, the new album?
Ooh, here we go. So I actually am about 10 feet away from one of those vinyls right now.
The Canada
George
2010?
would
Yeah.
break in your house like fucking Mission Impossible style.
I'm waiting. In fact, somebody, one of our listeners asked us to find out when those would be shipping, but I already saw online, I thought it said it was shipping this month.
Yeah, well, Lost 40. So it's
Stay
Austin.
away, George.
Yeah, it's Austin Austin Lund from Panopticon that was behind getting that whole thing set up, and so it ended up being I think 3 or 4 albums that kind of all got pressed at once. Mm-hmm. I think he's waiting on one of them right now, but and if it's not done by the end of the week, or it's not in by the end of the week, he's just going to start shipping anyway. So that's it's coming out pretty soon for anybody who ordered them.
Yeah, we actually had someone on Twitter specifically ask about that first one. So
Yeah, I was hunting down the Lost 40 site the other day. I was like, it's been a few months. Hadn't heard anything, so I was just curious. Because
Yes.
I pre-order things and then forget about them. And I'm like, whatever became of that?
Yeah.
Well, and thanks for doing that, dude. Because I mean, especially every single person on this pod we're all big vinyl guys. So yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
I've turned into one recently, so.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh,
Right
geez.
on. It just started buying again, or
Well, I mean, I was in a spot where I was just doing so much stuff, just of Thrawsunblat. I started even listening to music, and then when Austin approached me about the vinyl stuff, it was just like, shit, well, I should just get a record player, shouldn't I? And yeah, it's unreal the difference.
it's a disease too, brother. You're screwed now. Say goodbye
No, I
to
know.
all your
I'm
money.
infected. I'm infected. I just had an outbreak today, or actually yesterday. I bought 3 records, so.
So we can expect Wanderer and Metathonia on vinyl then?
I feel like it. I'm obviously hesitant to announce,
Of course.
Metathonia on vinyl, because then everyone's like, oh, well, it's being released next month, so the vinyls are going to be ready then too.
Sure. No.
So it's like,
Well-
they're definitely after the fact, but it's a thing that, once we recoup the recording costs and the pressing costs for CDs, then we'll have a bit of a change to make something like that happen, because I would love to see that artwork in vinyl size.
Yeah.
And so it's something I want to happen. So
it would be George's hope that you're like petting one now, like a cat.
Well,
know.
all I got to say is just take my money, whatever you need, just take my money out and we'll get it done.
Well, yeah, I was thinking when you said that you were 10 feet from the vinyl, and I'm sorry we keep throwing George in on this, but I thought George was going, that means I'm 675 miles and 10 feet from the cell.
Hey, Joe, George is the guy who, like, when you set Kickstarter goals, like you set that $1,000 goal, you're like, you set one of one. George is the guy who antes up $1,000 to try and do it for you.
Let's just get this settled right now.
Yeah, let's just do this right now.
All right.
well, if you got any suggestions for Thrawsunblat merch there, George, don't hesitate.
Bigger
well.
sizes. Be honest, George.
I want a little Thrawsunblat Speedo.
No, be honest, George. You need large sizes.
Yeah. Well, no,
Well,
the smaller the Speedo, the bigger my junk.
Oh,
Oh, right on. Good.
Good way to look at it, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah.
But,
I was actually kind of thinking about coffee mugs.
yeah. No, I
Sorry
don't.
about that. We always go straight for Speedo, so you shouldn't have asked over here.
That's fine. I got some friends that do that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some
Yeah,
cool stuff I
pics.
could think of, though.
Picks, because you guys got a cool logo.
Yeah, good idea.
That logo though, that new one. Do you guys know the story of that? How that came about?
Share
very
it,
well.
please.
I have the shirt, but I didn't hear the story.
Yeah, and so the think anyway, just over the winter break or so, got an email from a guy. His name's Adam Gillis. I think he's located in Florida. Anyway, his email said, "Oh, hey guys, big fan of the band. I know you guys have a logo and stuff, but like, here's the logo that I just drew." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll check it out." And then I opened up the attachment, and my jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, we had a logo, and now we have a new one. So,
Thanks for helping out, right?
That's a great logo.
and yeah, so it's been really cool working with Adam. Just kind of tweaking that design and getting that logo. And yeah, he's a great guy to work with. And so he actually did the lettering for Metathonia on the front cover there. Mm-hmm. And I asked him if he'd be interested in, just kind of doing some quick, writing out the titles of the album, of the songs, in calligraphy, just for the back of the album.
Right.
And then I got back, a couple weeks later. It looks like it's in the shape of a square, but inside that square, there's no outlines. But inside that are the song titles, like intertwined and interwoven with each other, and it's just the most fucking gorgeous thing I've ever seen. And so that's going to be on the back of the album. So that's another thing you guys have to look forward to.
Nice.
And so, yeah, it's another one of those things. Talking about the fans, like Adam's just a fan who is really talented and sent something to the band just because of whatever sort of rapport we've got with the fans, and it's one of those things that without the fans, none of that could happen. So it's just unreal.
Awesome. So speaking of stories, I've heard this one before in other interviews you've done, but could you tell the story of how the band got its name again? I love this story.
All right. Yeah. So, we touched on earlier, it's Thrawsunblat sort of, the roots are in European metal, of course, right? And so anything here we play in Canada ends up being sort of our interpretation or sort of like a bastardized version of European metal. And so Dave Gold had this picture of, this great big Viking dude speaking in some kind of bastardized European language, saying the words thrash and blast in it. And it's just like, oh, Thrawsunblat.
Thrawsunblat.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's great because it has some pretty cool imagery in it, and it's very Googleable if you can spell it. And it ends up being it's fun. It's just a great name. And about a year ago, I just I was like, what, I should. My friend sent me like an anagram he generated of his own name or something. I was like, I'll just throw Thrawsunblat into there, and then Narwhal Butts came up. That's an anagram of Thrawsunblat.
Right.
Yeah. And then a few months after that, I saw there's some sort of article or review online saying that Thrawsunblat, the band who made their name after because it's an anagram of Narwhal Butts. Just anyway.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard about Thrawsunblat. I'd seen the name around before I'd ever listened to it, and I was like, oh, that's got to be some sort of Scandinavian like Viking metal thing or something. And so then when I listened to it, I was like, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And then I dug a little deeper, and I saw that story, and I was just like, that is so cool. And I actually found it because I'm such a big Woods of Ypres fan. After Woods 5 came out, and there was this giant hole in the world. Mm-hmm. I was like, I have to know everything that David's ever been on. Mm-hmm. I have to find more. I have to know and own everything. Mm-hmm. And so I went on the Metal Archives and I clicked on his name, and I was like, okay, there's this Korean band that he drummed for. Okay, I'm going to get that on Bandcamp. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Thrawsunblat? I've heard that somewhere before. And so I checked that out, and the first thing I heard was Wanderer. I bought it on iTunes before I went to bed one night, and then I listened to it in the car on the way into work the next day, and I was in tears. I was like, this is amazing.
Well, go ahead, George, if you were going to
that was pretty much it. It was just it was this revelation, and and so it's just sort of I thought it was cool how one thing led to another thing led to another thing, and discovering a band that I just enjoy so much.
That's really cool. You talked about us having cool stories, and that's a pretty cool story itself.
Thanks.
Can we ask you about David a little bit? Would that be all right, Joel?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you don't mind, and please don't answer anything you don't want to answer, but just as fans, and what happened to him exactly? I mean, and not exactly, but you know what I mean. How did his death come about?
Oh, geez, I don't even know.
You don't. Okay.
No, it's
It's just a pretty generalized story, you know what I mean, and that's fine, and we don't have to get deep into it or anything, but it is kind of he keeps coming up in conversation.
However many miles away Fredericton is from Sault Ste. Marie.
Gotcha. So
or
you
from
just
Ontario,
heard
whenever all that stuff happened. I mean, I found out about it, over Facebook, and it's just
okay. You heard what we heard, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was just it's always kind of bugged me. I'm like, I have to assume that.
What just happened here? Are we still connected?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still. I think Jay may have dropped that. Did Jay?
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
I thought I got
Okay,
signed
never,
out.
we're still here.
Jeez.
I bet what it is somebody probably popped up online and it makes that noise.
No, okay, we're good now.
All right,
Cool. Anyway, and then it was actually from Brian Bello, one of the former Woods members. So anyway, it was I don't really, I'm not usually.
I was
Go on.
always
I
curious.
feel bad bringing it up, but yeah, I mean, thanks.
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was like, all the news said was an accident involving a car and a pedestrian, and I would assume that he was the pedestrian. And I'm like, did his car break down? Was he walking? What was going on? I don't know. But
Yeah.
I guess
I
if people
wish I
wanted
knew
to,
more. It's because Dave and I were, it was amazing writing music with him and kind of becoming friends and stuff. And it was so I wish I knew more personally.
Yeah, and hence our curiosity, by the way. I don't mean to over-explain, but it's not a morbid curiosity. You guys are somebody we care about, and there you go. So, yeah.
Yeah, obviously if his family wanted us to know, they'd tell us. So if they don't, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, and that must have been tough for you, man, by the way. I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because there's so many times where I listen to something, listen to a band, or hear a cool line and get ready to email Dave, and just fuck, it's kind of one of those things, and and it was the stuff we did with Woods 5, that whole writing process was an amazing time. It was
Joe, you talk. Sorry to interrupt you. You talk about powerful stuff that you've done with Thrawsunblat, Woods 5, and any other Woods albums. Any of his stuff is powerful. Doesn't even do it justice.
Yeah, I was curious. This was actually one of my later questions, but I'll jump ahead to it now. Woods 5, did you contribute any writing to that, or did you just play on that?
I wrote half the album.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good then, because everything I read was like, oh, David's writing. But listening to Woods 5 and listening to Wanderer, I hear, I don't say similarities, but stylistic things that I'm like, oh, that so reminds me of Woods 5. And I was
Cool.
that's got to be because of, you're writing on that album.
Yeah, it was a fun process. Dave wrote all the lyrics, of course, because that's sort of Woods is Dave's beast.
Sure.
But six of the songs I wrote, we got together in Sault Ste. Marie in July. We'd have coffee in the morning, chat a bit, and then go to our separate kind of workspaces, and we just write songs. And so I put 6 together, and Dave put 6 together.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's probably why I felt such an affinity for Wanderer as soon as I heard it. I was like, I know this. I know this.
cool.
So that's great. So do you know if there's any unreleased Woods material sitting around out there that may one day see the light of day?
Well, there are 3 songs that never got finished, really. The Home EP, of course, right?
Right.
So there were 3 more songs in that recording, time that just never kind of. We had to leave for tour, or actually no, it was at the end. It was after a tour. Just never got kind of finished up to Dave's excellent standard. Right, he just wasn't pleased with them, so we never ended up releasing them. And I don't know where they are. So they're good tunes, of course, but if Dave had been happy with them, then they would have been released. But we got 2 great songs out of those sessions, and so those are the ones that obviously met the Woods standard, and those are the ones that saw the light. So
Right.
Joe, the one thing I have to say about Dave is it doesn't seem, and we go to a lot of shows and a lot of metal festivals, it doesn't seem that a lot of the metal world still knows of him or got to hear the amazing work that he did. Because, we wear a Woods shirt to a concert, and people are like, who is that?
Yeah, there's a lot of stupid people out there. Yeah.
But, the ones in the know who really know the scene, know what amazing work he was doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had another follow-up question for my last one, which was,
Sure.
Was Woods 5 done, or did you have to still do some finishing touches after?
It was all done. We finished it. We finished it. So we wrote in July, went into with Siegfried Meyer at Beach Road Studios. We went there for 2 weeks in August, and when we left, it was done.
Yeah,
So-
I thought it was supposed to be released in November 2011 originally, and then it got pushed back, and then, of
there
course,
was-
it got really pushed back.
Yeah, there was. I don't know what the. Actually, yeah. See, that's one of those things that it's like a, with Ignifera, I would know why it would, things get pushed back, but no clue.
Right.
Wow, this is good, George. It's actually stumping you now. This is sort of like that episode of Saturday Night Live where the guys are asking questions of Captain Kirk. They're like, in episode 4, where he pushes the, you know what I mean? It's just too good.
Sorry.
Well, it's one of those things that I felt pretty. It's like I don't know. It's like kind of like trying to move a building or something like that. It's not really much I can do. Kind of like I felt kind of even if I found the answer, wouldn't be able to sort of do anything about it. So
Of
I was
course.
like,
Yeah, of course.
oh, album's released when it's released. Great.
Yeah,
So-
I was just really focused on the band at that time. I came across Woods 4 probably in the spring of 2011
Yep.
when Earache sent me a promo, and they were like, "Here, you should review this," and it just blew my mind, and I wrote this really great review, and David emailed me and thanked me for that, and we talked a little bit, and so I knew that it was scheduled to come out in November originally, and that was pretty much my summer fall was like, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? And then it wasn't coming out, and then it really wasn't coming out, and so anyway, getting back to Thrawsunblat.
Yeah.
I listened to Wanderer again yesterday, front to back with the lyrics in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a really moving experience. Even though
thank
I'm
you.
already familiar with the album,
Mm-hmm.
I cried at the end of the Song of the Nihilist. It's such a moving story and phenomenal album. Not since Woods 5, actually, has an album spoken to me so much. I just wanted to tell you that.
Well, thank you very much. That means a lot because that. You guys asked, about just the sort of the Thrawsunblat and Woods and that sort of thing. You asked about David's passing and that sort of thing, and how that affected me. So yeah, I had a pretty horrible year there. Where so David's the fourth person that was in I think about 4 months that was close to me that passed away, and so it was that whole album was sort of when I write a song, I usually start with a problem. And or at least lyric wise, and then find a solution to it, right? And so that album is a lot of dealing with how do you deal with when something like that happens to you, and how do you move forward and that sort of thing. So it was it was actually Dave was one of 4 people whose passing it inspired me to write that album, or just was a big part of the album writing process. So. Yeah.
To answer how you deal with that kind of thing, in my case, you fall apart for a year and basically sleep on the couch. I mean, I had some deaths in my family, and I did not handle it well, dude. So good for you for channeling it into something artistic and meaningful for other people to experience. I mean, I couldn't be more sincere when I say that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and if one single person can be helped by me having written and put out that album, then it's just unbelievably makes me very happy to know. So
Yeah, Joel, may I just go along with what Jay just said? The thing that's striking me the most about talking to you this last hour or so is how humble you are, and how down to earth you are with this.
well, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, hey, man, it's refreshing. It's nice, dude. It is. It's really cool. So, what a pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's been a real pleasure, chatting with you guys. You guys are asking some great questions, and you're doing it in a fantastic manner. So it's just a blast. So.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually had a question that I was going to get to, and I was sort of I had this flow that I was going to get to, and
okay, Jay, shut up. Let George.
yeah, shut up, guys. I got questions here. I was actually going to reference the 4 urns
Yep.
in the storyline. And I was going to ask, who did these urns represent? I assumed they represented people, and I figured one of them was David.
Yep, that's exactly it. So those were the four. So one of them was. So I just finished my master's in classics. Just right before we went out on tour in 2011, and a month later, my academic advisor, who I'd been working with closely for the last 2 years, passed away suddenly, and then a friend of mine, who I'd known since I was about 5, passed away in September, and then my paternal grandmother passed away in November, and then David. So those are the four urns, sort of, symbolically there.
Wow. Nobody should have to have a year that rough.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, and what do you do except, move forward? And that's, I guess, maybe with that piece of information, you kind of, the sort of emotion that's put into the Wanderer kind of, that's what the whole thing is about, is that sort of thing. Is moving through it, and what do you do? So
right. Were there any particular lyrics or songs that were specifically like a tribute to David?
Well, I think let me think here. I think probably "We the Torchbearers" is probably the one that's most.
I was thinking that.
Yeah, because it's 'cause David carried quite a heavy torch, quite a big torch in the at least the Canadian metal, if not worldwide sort of scope as well, and so that was probably the most David.
I was also in my mind, at least thinking Goose River was a.
Well, it's interesting because David and the fellow, my friend who I'd known since I was about 5, who passed away. His name is Matt Sloan, and so he is who Goose River's about.
That was the one thing that made me question it. Was like, well, that's an actual name there. So
yeah, and I wanted to. Yeah, because each of those 4 people was equally massive in my life, and so I didn't want any of them to sort of get more than the others and that sort of thing in the storyline. So it's they're all there in all sort of in wherever you see that sort of thing. They're all sort of a part of it, but some have a bigger role in songs than others. Yeah,
right on. So one thing I've noticed, maybe I'm biased just because of my fandom, but like with Woods of Ypres and Thrawsunblat lyrics, they seem to be like deeper and more interesting than typical black metal lyrics. And I was curious, like, did you and David like learn that from each other, or is there just something in the water in Canada, or what's that all about?
Well, that's really cool that you mentioned that. Thank you. Well, I know that. It's interesting because some of my favorite music before I, started Thrawsunblat and before I joined Woods was like Woods 2 and Woods 3. There's some really. I think I definitely just chatting with David and that sort of thing. We talked about just the concept of why are you writing lyrics and that sort of thing. Like because there's a point when in terms of black metal and stuff, it's like oh yeah, we're walking around in a forest, it's super grim, awesome, and it's like but like then what happens,
right?
And so and I've always kind of you have to have a purpose when you're writing a lyric, like and it's sort of I always like to solve a problem, and if someone can read those and find some sort of I hadn't thought of looking at it that way, or like what, I really know what you're talking about, that sort of thing, then that's exactly why you write a lyric. And I think David look at it the same way. So
yeah, I like Emperor as much as the next person, but it's like whatever these lyrics. But when I came across Woods of Ypres, I was like, these lyrics actually mean something. This is like, I connect to this. And like, particularly, your Ontario town is a burial ground. I'm from Michigan, which is close enough, I figure. And boy, that song means a lot to me. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, the lyrics are much more personal than typical black metal.
Mm. Yeah, maybe that could be, there's definitely a large part of, definitely in Wood stuff, David put, himself, all of himself into it. And I think I put a certain, large chunk of myself in a lot of my songs too. So maybe that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
Will we ever see a song about how awesome Tim Hortons is? I fucking love their coffee though. I'm sorry.
You know what? I think it'd be great just to, that'd be a pretty great gag song, right?
Wouldn't it?
Like a hidden track.
Yes. Play it backwards, George. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I know at least on the forum, I guess the forum, the Woods, Jace, the Woods forum was awesome on Ultimate Metal. But so the Thrawsunblat Facebook page is what I'm talking about. We sort of have all those Thrawsunblat puns, and there's a pretty that sort of realm. I think that Tim Hortons gag song would fit in there somehow.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, Joel, do you have in this internet age we live in? I could post your song on Reddit, one of your videos, and it could be 500 comments. Oh, this sucks. This is good. Do you ever look at your stuff online, and do you read into the comments at all, good or bad?
Well, I think it's hard not to. You kind of like, you see a video posted, and you're like, oh, hey, cool. I wonder what people say, and it's like the person's like, posers.
Some 12-year-old's blasting you.
Yeah, and then I think you just have to look at the internet as a certain thing. It's like the internet's kind of like a party, I think. In a lot of ways, it's like going to a party where everyone's kind of making jokes.
It's like if you read the lyrics, I'm curing cancer, but somebody's blasting you because you're offbeat or something. Yeah,
and people have no. Most people who put comments, they have no stake in that thing, and so they're just like passing by and just like throw a tomato at somebody. It's like because it's fun. And so when you look at it that way, it's not as bad. So what really is nice is when you when you read a really well thought out or review or just even really nice kind of comment that that someone spent some of their nowadays time's pretty valuable, so they spend some of their valuable time writing that or thinking about that, and so that's when it's really that's one of the ways in which the internet's awesome. You ever seen somebody
post their interpretation of the lyrics and it's like so in right field that you just have to like comment? You're like, no, really, it's nothing like that.
It was, it's funny. When I write lyrics, I try to be as absolutely just clear as possible and like look for all the double meanings and try to eliminate as many as I can, just to like, because with heavy metal, there's so many, just in general, I think you can take a lot of sentences so many ways. And so after having written the lyrics to, Thrawsunblat 2 and after it was released, there's a sort of, you kind of get the interview cycle going and lots of interviews coming in and out. And there was one fellow who sent me I forget. Anyway, he sent me all these like really analytical questions about the album, and like you can kind of give a premise and then ask a question about it. It's like, so the lyrics for Wanderer and the Conrad of Saplings are clearly motivated by Tim Hortons. So why do you do this? It's that's not exactly example, but like that's like and it's questions like that, and you just pull out your hair and you don't know what to even say to that. It's like,
no, I think the correct answer is just yes. You know what I mean? Just let them have it.
Yep, you're right.
You nailed it. You cracked the code, buddy.
So Ray's got a mortal bird. Brendan's got obsidian tongue. Mm-hmm. Is Joel ever going to do a side project, perhaps in a different style or anything that you couldn't do in Thrawsunblat? Or does Thrawsunblat pretty much do it for you?
Well, it does it for me, definitely. But it's neat that you asked that because since Thrawsunblat, it's tough to play live. So in town here in Fredericton, I put together sort of a maritime folk band with songs. So we play Goose River live and we play Maritime Shores, and so we're actually just putting out an EP at the end of the summer here, a little 5-song kind of maritime-y acoustic, but kind of like Maritime Shores, that sort of thing, except a little bit more. The lyrics a little bit more kind of tongue-in-cheek, like, a little bit more, have a little bit more fun with it and that kind of thing. Nice.
I think my friend Josh is probably booking his hotel there in New Brunswick now because his favorite part of Thrawsunblat is the maritime stuff.
Cool.
And
cool.
I think heck, I'd drive up there to see it too.
Well, geez, yeah. Well, I'll have to let you know if we do anything big. So
certainly.
A part of our pod, we do a top 3 list.
What's your top three? What's your top three? What's your this week?
This week, in honor of having you on, we're doing top 3 Canadian metal bands.
Ooh.
Not to put you on the spot, but could you come up with a top 3 or maybe 1 or 2 Canadian metal bands that would build your top 3 list?
Sure. I mean, well, so Devin Townsend would obviously have to be up there.
All right.
Yeah, he's unreal, actually.
He's amazing, isn't he?
Yeah. And you know what? He's a fantastic dude too. I got a chance to meet him, and he's just, like you mentioned me being humble. He's as humble as it comes, and he's a great guy.
And he belches and a song comes out, man, like a good one. You know what I mean? It's just like crap, and it's just like, oh my god, that's the most amazing thing I ever heard.
Yeah, I remember the time he farted.
Yeah, it's like it's a record. It's a great record.
So there's him and Unleash the Archers.
Oh, I love them.
Oh man, we love them.
That's a good call.
Yeah, they actually rolled through Fredericton a couple times when I was here, and I'd met them. You know what? I hadn't met them on tour at all. This was after the Woods stuff, and so they knew about Woods, and they're fans, and I knew about them, and I was fans, and so I just met up with them after the show, and just had a great time chatting with them. A great bunch of folks, and we ended up just kind of sharing tour stories and stuff. And it turns out that all the people across Canada that like I remembered from like the shows because they were like ridiculous or because they did weird things or whatever, they're the same set of people that Unleash the Archers remembered. Yeah, pretty much identical stories.
Yeah, Brittany's got some pipes, man. She can sing.
God,
Yes.
yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Right on.
And we got one more. We got to give us one more.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, definitely on the spot here. Those are the two that jump right out. Let me think here for a second. Frank. Well, just that comes to mind here. There's a neat band from Moncton called Zaum. Have you guys heard of them?
Don't know.
No.
So they put out an album called Oracles, or actually an EP, and it's sort of like it's like a psychedelic drone doom thing, but it's very atmospheric. It's kind of like a desert sort of like oracle kind of like feel to it, and it's just the most like calming kind of like peaceful album. It's really cool, and they played live here in Fredericton too, and it was a great show. So yeah, that's those are the three I can think of right now. Yeah.
Very cool.
Do you guys want to go ahead and do our three here since he just did his?
Yes.
Yeah, let's roll
Let's
it.
do our three right now. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Number 3,
Okay.
Gorguts,
Why
because I love technical death metal.
don't you just do all three?
Okay.
since-
Yeah,
Number 2. Thanks, George. You made me look like an idiot.
No, we don't normally do it that way, but since he already did his three,
Thanks. Number 2, Annihilator,
Look like.
okay.
because I love Alice in Hell.
Yeah.
all their- Number 1, pour some out for my homies here because they're breaking up and they're no more 3 inches of blood.
Right on.
I think that, again, the stuff that Cam and those guys did, his pipes are fucking one of the most unique voices in metal. And it's a shame that they're going to be no more.
Yeah. Jay, what do you got?
All right. Well,
See, I just wanted acceptance from Joel, and I didn't get it. And you make me look like an idiot, George.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Go ahead, Jay.
with this one, I'm almost ashamed to put this one on there. I was going to put Devin Townsend too, but these guys had some early records that meant a lot to me back in the 80s. It's Exciter. And I'm kind of happy that they're back together, even though it's pretty cheesy stuff, but I dig it. I'm going to pronounce it different than George, but Voivod. And then actually Gorguts was my number one.
Right on. All right. Well,
Hey, with all due respect, Joel, by the way, George knows your stuff better than me, so you're going to be on that list soon enough.
yeah, not to suck up or anything, because we were gonna do this after the interview, so it was
The sucking up and the nude pictures are going to be sent after the pod.
Yeah, but number 3, Thrawsunblat,
Woo! Yeah.
which would have been number 2, except my number 2 is Voivod, and they only get it because they have so much more material.
Hey, man, you don't have to rationalize. Keep going. That was the best. That was the best celebration I've ever heard. Woo! Yeah.
Number
we're
1.
gonna make that into a little sound drop that we can put in between episodes. That was too good.
Woo! Yeah.
Number 1, Woods of Ypres. So there we go. That's our top 3.
That was good. That was satisfying.
Right on.
Joe, one more thing. I like to ask artists we have on here this question, because this digital age you live in always blows me away. What's your experience been on the band camps and the Kickstarter and everything? Have you liked it? Will you do it again? Any future projects?
Oh man, where do I even start? It's been that's how we work. Like it's Kickstarter. Well, at least the Kickstarter model is how we did the second album, and since then, Bandcamp is how we've sold all our stuff, and that's sort of like a medium that lets artists, sell basically directly to their fans and just take a small cut. It's and they do it in a way that's basically pretty painless for the artists. And the merch. They've got a really good merch system where it lists all the stuff you've got to ship, and then you can
you're out of stock on a couple of things that I was looking at yesterday, by the way.
All right, I'll get on that. I'll put it on the list.
That was literally a customer service complaint. Right?
And so, it's fantastic stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, part of what the album talks about is, there's things that, in these times that, there's so many new things. Some of them are awesome. Some of them aren't so awesome. So it's a matter of sort of, picking the bits, finding out the bits that are awesome in this new times. And that, Bandcamp is one of the things that is awesome about the internet.
Cool.
Right
Very
on.
nice.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank Joel for talking with us today. It has been truly an honor, and it's been a blast. I know we all had some fun.
Very generous with your time. Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you for the time.
Well, I mean, likewise, guys. It's completely, reciprocal with all that stuff.
I love to hear that. So as we usually do, we're going to play a couple songs from Thrawsunblat. And, we don't usually play songs from Thrawsunblat. Whoever we're interviewing, we play their songs.
You gotta change that.
Every episode we play something from Thrawsunblat. That works for me. So the first song we're going to play is off of Wanderer on the Continent of Saplings. And this is the song We the Torchbearer. What can you tell us about this one, Joel?
So that song is, one of my buddies described it as in the movie The Grey with Liam Neeson, at the very end where he's like surrounded by wolves and he like cracks the bottles of and he's got the shards of glass in his hands ready to take on the wolves. Mm-hmm. That's what he says the intro is. And then once everything comes in, it's like, what happens next? And so it's so it's a in your face pounder, and the lyrics are about carrying the torch. So it ended up writing the song about one of my buddies had someone close to him, a family member pass away, and I was like, what do I even say to him? I wish I could help him, but I don't know, and so I kind of answered that question in the lyrics, like, what do you do about it? And so it's a in your face pounder, and I guess it has a little bit of a philosophical tidbit in there somewhere, I guess. Yeah.
Right on. All right. So here we are, Thrawsunblat, We the Torchbearer. All right. That was We the Torchbearer from Thrawsunblat. That concludes the bulk of the interview with Joel Violette. But
Violetta. I'm going to do that every time you say his name. I'm going to have to do that.
Violetta.
Yeah.
But he will be back again at the end of the show because we're going to have him talk about the last song that we're going to play before we go. So stick around to the end of the show for more Thrawsunblat.
What song is that he's going to be doing?
You'll find out when you get there.
Oh.
You have to stick around. That's the whole point. All right. Let's
Yeah, you don't get
finally,
the fun
after how many 3 hours or whatever, get into some news. First up, Kerry King would have liked Gary Holt to contribute to songwriting. Anybody give a fuck?
No.
Nope. Okay, no fucks given. Moving on. Jay. This one's you, buddy.
Brent Hines sent a shattering shockwave through the metal world a couple weeks ago by saying he fucking hates heavy metal. Got some stuff to say about this. Going to keep it brief since we're going so long today, but I'll just say this. He's kind of an eccentric guy anyway. And it's worth saying that in the interview, it was for a guitar magazine, and they were like, and he was like, I don't like talking about guitars. I hate heavy metal. You know what, dude? If you don't want to do the interviews, don't fucking do the interviews, A. And B, it never fails when a band starts to get popular. There's at least one guy in there who's sort of ashamed that he's associated with heavy metal.
Wasn't he who you had your time with, Jay?
No, that was the other guitar player.
Okay.
And there are some well and true like metalheads in that band. There's no question about it. And I used to just think he was eccentric. And I'll just tell you right now I just think he's kind of a jerk.
He's a dick.
Yeah, I'd agree with you 100%. What an asshole.
And
He hates heavy metal. We hate Brent Hines. Fuck you.
Remember where you come from, asshole.
You don't have to go out there and represent heavy metal every day. Who cares? But on the other hand, you know what, dude? If you're making your living by it and shit like that, come on, man.
Don't
like that,
shit
that's
where
not
you
cool.
eat.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something right now. Being a big fan of that band, I will think twice before buying their next record. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that goes back to what we were talking about.
that's right.
I don't know. I don't put much weight into this. I know how much drugs and stuff this band's into.
You're right.
Yeah, I don't.
So what? You want to keep getting your drugs? Appease your fans.
It's just I don't. You know what we were talking about earlier with immoral bands and that type of stuff. I don't put a lot of weight into a little quote here and there.
No, I agree.
I never have.
I'm not
Well,
totally-
you know what? You know these guys know they're under the microscope every time they say something. They have
just-
to
you know
know
what, though?
that.
I'll
Unless
tell you
they're
what.
just so doped out of their brains that they don't.
well,
So
he is.
for
but I
him to
don't know about
say
the rest
metal's dead, you know, I'm sorry. I don't agree with that at all.
No,
There's so
he
many
didn't say
people
that.
underground that
No, he
love
didn't say
metal.
that. He said he hates.
He
He
hates metal. Okay, well then for him to say that, fuck him.
Exactly.
I'll tell you this. I'll just add one more thing, and that is that he reminded me in that interview of two people who are talented musicians. One of them is dead, and that's Kurt Cobain and also Maynard James Keenan from Tool. These are two people who cannot. They appear to dislike their audiences very much.
I don't know so much. Well, I don't know about the Tool.
No, fucking Kurt's never getting
I don't know
back to
about
the
Tool.
fucking anybody writing him now.
But Kurt Cobain hated himself more than he hated anyone.
But he was one of those guys. He used to write songs
Did you
about
see
how
the
much he-
documentary
Yeah.
on him?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, I did.
I mean, and that's just hearsay, really, is what it is. You're watching
those were
somebody
journalists.
else's opinion on what he thought. But it looked to me like he just hated himself more than anyone else.
And I agree with you. I do take it with a grain of salt, and I'm not really angry about it. It's just like, come on, man. There's so many of us. Like, I'm in a band, and I'm out here trying kind of hard, and you're in a position where people want to ask you questions and stuff like that, and it just seems like kind of abusing that opportunity.
Yeah,
he owes me nothing.
Yeah, it's just sort of biting the hand that feeds you, though. All right.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But last thing, and sorry, do you guys really give anything this band says any weight to it?
No.
No, because they're always sarcastic. All of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there you go. And he can say whatever he wants. I think he's an amazing guitar player, but I was a little disappointed with that statement. Because you know what? I fucking love heavy metal.
Yeah.
And I don't care who knows it.
All right. So the next news item, Disturbed released a song.
Out of
from their
nowhere.
coming out of that they were all sneaky and surprised everybody with, called The Vengeful One. Frankly, I think it blows.
I was never a fan of Disturbed. ever.
I
you go.
kind of liked
No
them
surprise
in the
here.
middle years, and but
I thought they tried too hard.
they were just sort of my I need some light hard rock stuff, and so I liked some of the stuff, but
Have you gone back though and listened to the stuff they released in what was it, the 90s?
You have the box set.
yeah, I do.
It's not bad.
On vinyl.
Their stuff is for the time.
There's stuff I like, but the new song I don't.
And there you go. To each his own.
Yep.
I never preferred Disturbed. You did, so there you go.
Yep.
You would have contributed to their kickstarts. I would not have.
No, I don't know if I would have gone that far, but
Well, and I don't think they need one. But
No.
yeah, I'm no fan.
yeah.
Well, they don't. They have a
So,
label
whatever.
that rapes them nightly. I promise you.
Yeah. All right. Next up, I'm, the new Iron Maiden album's coming out in September, but we're going to get a taste next month. They're going to be releasing the single for the song "Speed of Light" on August 14th. Who here's got hard
Cool.
nipples? Ooh, 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 ooh.
I can cut some glass.
Yeah, man.
I didn't even know that was happening until I saw the news on our script. So it's very cool.
Yeah, can't wait to
Nice.
hear that. It's a little teaser. So, Dave Mustaine says that a lot of people will be happy because the new music is really aggressive again.
Megadeth is releasing something new.
And
Oh,
Chris Adler from Lamb of God on drums.
no shit.
Yep. So
Wow.
we'll see. This is like, I've been let down so many times before. I want to
Yeah.
believe, but I can't believe.
That's right. I can't get excited. until
I'm
I
playing
hear
the
it.
part of your crowd, your listeners, and I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. And honestly, that excited me. I got a little chubby for that.
Yeah, man.
But you know what? I'm with George though. We'll see. We'll see. I think Dave's done. The Chris
Really?
Adler thing. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Well,
He
the
made a good
accident
record.
didn't end him, and he came back strong. I mean, what
one
does it
record,
take to end this guy?
I just think he's making bad records right now. So we'll
Really?
see. I
Okay.
hope this one's better. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay, well,
the
to
last
each
good
his
one.
own, like I said.
Yep. We'll see.
Last good one was United Abominations, and that had too much politics in it anyway. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
It did.
Well,
Totally.
yeah, but honestly, politics are a very popular discussion right now.
Yeah, well.
Not with me.
Yeah.
Maybe not with you, but with a lot of Americans, at least, it's a very popular
Well,
discussion.
we're going to get a little political later on.
Sweet.
So there was a study done. I didn't, unfortunately, write down the details, but apparently listening to heavy metal can make you calmer. Duh.
All right.
Calmer.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like you get all your rage and aggression out through the music, and it leaves you calmer. There was a study shown, it was like a side-by-side study that said, basically people were given like stressful news and told to think about stressful things, and the people that, and then half the people were left to just sit and think about it, and the other half listened to heavy metal. And the people that listened to heavy metal, when they came back to them, were more calm than the people who just sat and stewed.
Have you heard of the ice experiment? I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it.
Okay.
They took classical music, they took hard rock, they took heavy metal, and they played it through. I guess they took an amp and they put it against something with water in it, and they froze the water. And the water turned out to, in classical, it formed these amazing, beautiful crystals. In rock, it formed something different, and then in metal, it formed something completely different. And they were saying that based on this water, since we're made up of so much water, that it affects us, the sound that we're getting bombarded with in these songs is affecting us in the way that it's freezing. But to have you say that metal calms you, I mean, that's interesting. And if that's a scientific fact, and they actually research this, I would like to see them go and counter the people that did this freezing thing and say, because sound waves are gonna affect everyone in their own way. I mean, we're all built differently. I mean, yeah, we got a skeleton and we got skin surrounding us, but we're all different sizes, So our fundamental frequency is going to be different across the board. and to find out what music actually affects us all the same, I would be interested to see that.
Well, it probably wouldn't affect non-metal fans that way.
Well, I would that's what I'd like to see is non-metal fans, how metal affects them.
It's a good point. Okay, let's see. What's next? So this next one, I think Buke and probably Matt also we're going to be pretty excited about. Phil Anselmo said that Superjoint Ritual is working on 4 or 5 new songs.
Awesome.
One would guess that they might record those songs.
Awesome.
I know they've been they're going to be touring, but
I honestly, let me just. I'm going to put this out. Buke may not appreciate me for this, but let me just put this out there. I would take Down over Superjoint Ritual. I really would.
You'd take Down?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Oh, Down. Sorry, Down.
It's the same front man, obviously, but I would listen to Down over Superjoint Ritual. I've seen Superjoint Ritual. How many times have we seen Superjoint Ritual?
Like 7 or 8.
7 or 8 times. And they're great. I love them. Mm-hmm. But Down, I mean, Stone the Crow. Listen to that song and tell me that's not fucking touching.
Matt, I'm a bigger Superjoint Ritual fan than I am Down.
So be it.
I'm glad that they're coming back. Phil said they have no timeline when they
probably don't because he's
to get
running
an album out. He said, if it happens, it happens because they're all busy with other projects.
That's the other thing. Is
Bowers
half
I Hate
of
God.
Superjoint Ritual is Down.
They're all in other projects. So
yeah,
it's cool that they're doing stuff. So
yeah, it is. I'm excited about it. I like Superjoint. I like them both. So
Jay,
it's
you're
cool.
the man.
That's nice to know that they're still doing stuff. I mean, they are not still doing stuff. It's nice to know they're kind of. Well, I mean, they're doing the shows. Were you going to go to one of the shows, Butte?
they weren't coming around here.
They're not.
No, Down's coming to
Barbecue.
the
Barbecue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the barbecue.
So that'll get you through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of pleased to hear this. And by the way, that's a great fucking name for a band. Superjoint
right?
Ritual.
Isn't it?
It is. It's a good name. Yeah.
Especially with weed being legalized. I mean, so many people can relate to that. I personally don't. I personally. You said Superjoint Ritual, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I just thought that was such a good point. It's just like,
I
now that you
personally
got your
don't
weed
smoke,
legal-
but I know plenty of people that do, and they can relate to that. I mean, they hear a band called Superjoint Ritual. Hey, I smoke joints every fucking night. Let me go check these people out. You know?
That's a good. You're on a roll, dude.
So this next item, I kind of got to roll my eyes for this one.
Yeah.
Guess what? Steve Tucker's back in Morbid Angel to make a full-on death metal album.
What?
Or who knows what'll happen next week,
Yeah.
but stay
Wow.
tuned. We'll see,
Yeah,
right?
wow.
Do you
They're
give
done,
these
man.
guys any weight anymore?
No.
Yeah, really. Do you believe the hype?
Nope. Not even a little bit.
Domination was the last album I could stomach
Yep.
by these guys, so
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
tapping out on that one.
They're done. They're
Now,
done.
Jay, how about this next one here?
Come on, Jay.
Richie Blackmore says he's contemplating playing some rock shows next year. This is not like secondhand Joe Lynn Turner. This is straight from the Blackmore's mouth.
But he
Well,
said
okay.
contemplating.
No. He said he was supposed to play at 3 different shows. I'm assuming they're festival shows, and that's it. He's like, that's all I'm going to do. But I will say this, and I mean, I know Beak joins me on this one. Richie Blackmore is a jerk. There's no question about it. But he's also my single favorite guitar player, and if he's going to come, I would love to see him play rock again. He should. I mean, I'm serious. Ingve, Joe, or Jeff Loomis, he's better than all of them. Richie Blackmore is God on guitar. But so yeah, I mean, he should be. This is what he should be doing. And hey, if it was in America, I'd probably go out of my way to come and try to see it. But I'm sure there'll be 3 festival shows in Europe, and he's just going to do I bet he'll do like a Richie Blackmore's greatest hits kind of thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think Joe Lynn Turner was supposed to be involved though.
Yeah, probably.
But Richie said in this interview, Joe Lynn Turner is not involved. And I think that was where Joe Lynn Turner learned, whatever. Classic Richie being a prick. But yeah, come on back, Richie.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, so
Water's fine.
next couple items are some albums that'll be coming out later in the year. First one is Clutch is going to release a new album October 2nd called Psychic Warfare.
Awesome.
We'll be seeing those guys at Barbecue. Maybe we'll catch some new material
I
there.
look forward to that. I look forward to that tremendously.
Yeah, Clutch is cool.
I love Clutch.
Yeah. Last one is really good. Last record is great. So.
Earth Rocker.
Yeah, you got. I know you got that on vinyl, Buke.
Yeah, I do.
There you go.
All right, and another one I'm really excited about. Unfortunately, it's not coming out till next year, but Isan, formerly of Emperor, is working on a new album for 2016. Can't wait to hear that. Love pretty much everything this guy's done.
No comment.
Sweet.
I haven't heard those guys.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Have you heard of Suicide City?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Okay, it's the Typo Negative guitarist
Okay.
and the Kitty bass player.
Okay.
You lost, George.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
lost me.
You lost me too.
Okay, okay.
I know who they are,
I saw Kitty
but-
at Ozfest. I saw Kitty at Ozfest years ago.
Yeah, I think I did too.
And it's Amy or Jenny, I think. She is unbelievably gorgeous and rides the bass like nobody's business. Like you feel like you're at a porn store watching her. But I just want to pitch those guys, Suicide City, if
All
they
right.
still even are around.
I'll look for it. Next one, we don't have a release date for this yet, but I am totally looking forward to it, is Satiricon's working on a new album. And Frost, the drummer, says it's going to be really different from anything they have done. Now, everybody says that. So will it be like the self-titled album? Who knows? But I'm very curious to see what it is because I love pretty much everything these guys have done.
Well, if you love it, I mean,
But George,
ride
their,
it,
their
right?
style's changed
Yes.
a couple times.
Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
liked it all.
Like, remember, what was it?
But
Mid
keep going,
2000s,
right?
they kind of had
The Rebel Extravaganza.
kind of like a rock type of rock
You're talking about like the volcano.
Yes,
area.
the volcano era and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I liked it.
yeah. So have I.
There you
when I-
go. If you like it, ride it.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
matter.
mean, if you're driving a Ford, drive a Ford. If you're driving a Chevy, drive a Chevy. If you like both of them, drive them both. Right?
You know, I would say
Right.
George, Satyricon
was a horrible
could say
mouth.
that about every release, couldn't they? Though they could be like Satyricon literally could say this is going to be different than everything ever, and it'll probably be true. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it tells you so little. But I like the Live at the Opera House thing. Is really cool. Not that was a new music, but yeah, I'll check out everything they do, dude.
Yeah, me too.
George and I once waited 3 hours for those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we saw them play a song or two.
Yeah, yes.
But their set was cut really short because of delays.
I've waited so much longer than 3 hours for a show with you.
Did you say that was at Ozfest?
No, this is between Matt.
For Satyricon?
No, Matt, this is bands have played before them.
Oh my God!
And we're in
I
stage
stand-
in the venue
Okay. Yeah,
waiting
no, I've
for
never
them to
seen
come
that.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know where that
That's
place was.
ridiculous.
We went to this show and it was, I don't even
Yeah,
know where the fuck it was. It was like Baltimore. Or,
Yeah, it wasn't the wrecker. It wasn't anything like that.
Ram's
like-
Head?
No, it's like
Ram's
someplace
Yeah.
we went once and we've never been back.
So Satyricon headlined it with Suffocation.
Yes. And,
Wow.
no
2
idea.
hours between acts.
It was bad. We left like
Yeah.
before Suffocation even
3
came on, I
hours
think.
What
later.
venue was that?
I don't know.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
That is just horrible.
So I've actually heard this, but Children of Bodom is streaming a new song from their new album, I Worship Chaos.
Nice.
I've got the promo. I'm digging it, man. This
Nice.
is, I think it's a sort of a, at least I haven't heard the whole thing yet, but it's a bit of a return to the more melodic guitar lines
Awesome.
of Hate Crew Death Roll. So
I am a huge Children of Bono fan. That's
George-
and I know I didn't say that right, but that's alcohol.
That venue was the Thunderdome.
The
Really?
Thunderdome, really?
Wow.
You spent 2 hours?
where is it?
That was the Morbid Angels Satyricon Suffocation
Oh my
show.
God.
Morbid Angel was there too?
Yeah,
That is
remember
horrible
Premonitions of
management.
War opened.
Yeah.
Morbid Angel was the headliner. It was the
Wow.
American Heretic Tour.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have cared about that.
2004.
Wow.
That was 11 years ago.
That's-
Oop.
Yeah.
That's still horrible. I don't care how long
Yeah.
ago it
It
was.
was 11 years
horrible.
ago we did that. Wow.
I'm not trying to make us feel old, but wow.
More. Wait. You waited for who?
Satyricon.
Satyricon.
Did you?
God.
Is there a bar next to that place called Beyond Thunderdome? Because they're fucking stiffy.
Can I speak about this?
If you're waiting for Thunderdome,
You know, this
that's what it's called.
Children of Bodom, I listened to this again today before I came here. Their first song that's on YouTube. It's a more mature Children of Bodom than I've heard before.
In a while.
Not so heavy on the keyboards.
Right.
Not so heavy with that synth sound that they kind of had.
But I love those melodic
But
guitar
the
lines.
guitars are ridiculous.
Yeah.
The vocals
They're all
sound awesome.
They're all amazing at what they do. Honestly,
they sound great.
I haven't heard it yet, but I'm looking as we're talking here. I see it's in the box, so I'll pull it out.
Yeah,
today.
honestly, those guys, they're the keyboardists, guitarists, they're all phenomenal at what they do. Honestly, just to be able to play with each other alone. I mean, being that they're so good at what they do, I'm a huge Opeth fan, so I'm going to relate everything to Opeth. And you listen to Opeth, you hear the keys, you hear the guitars, Michael Ackerfeld on lead, and it's yeah. Go ahead. Continue on something else.
Just take it easy. Just sit there for a little bit.
Sit here and look pretty.
Just sit there for a little bit. Let us take it.
Yeah, moving on, I think we're probably all going to eschew our venom for this next one, and I don't mean venom. The Sword is streaming a new song called Empty Temples, and it blows goats.
Pass.
Really?
It's
Don't like
horrible.
it.
I heard 2 songs off this album, and, I lived through the 70s. I don't need to do it again. Give me some metal.
That's the Sword, right?
The Sword, yeah. They fucking
We
blow.
talked about
Wow.
this 1 or 2 pods ago, and there was this little fear that they were going to kind of go towards the weird Texas rock thing.
And they did.
And that's just not my cup of tea, dude. I mean, hey, whatever. But if they did more stuff like Warp Riders or even the last record, but nah, I didn't like it at all.
Yep, tapping out.
Even the cover is kind of lame. It looks like some sort of I don't know what it looks like, some Radiohead record or something. Fuck.
Yeah, fuck them. Now, Pentagram's
those
streaming a new song called Walk Alone.
Pentagram, really?
And, Bobby is still kicking. And
Are you kidding me?
But it's
Wow.
not. It wasn't bad. It beat the hell out of the fucking Sword, that's for sure.
I saw a
Wow.
picture of him recently, and I got to tell you,
Is he
you remember
cleaned
how
up?
he looked? Meh. You know how he looked a lot better at the end of the movie, where he'd kind of gained some weight.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like the guy at the beginning of the movie again.
Oh, shit.
Well, we saw him. They
That
played.
crack guy.
They opened for Down on the show that we went to, and well, I mean, he just fucking looks horrible, But he's old and decrepit, and he's abused himself for years.
I want to know who his girlfriend is.
I don't know if he has one now.
If she can like him, she can sure as fuck like me.
Yeah,
What is that? When was the show you saw him on?
it was a couple years ago
A couple years ago
at Fillmore.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
I
It was a
honestly
good show.
I didn't think he would last long.
Well, if he's staying,
And I mean, really, Pentagram is him.
yeah,
I mean, that's,
Yeah, it is.
That's it.
What did you say about the song, George?
he sounded really good, and
Okay. All right.
if he stays clean, then
I'll check it out.
right on.
I'm more power to him.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I'm all for clean living.
So this next one, it's funny. I was down in South Carolina at the beach when the Confederate flag came down in South Carolina.
Wow.
Corey Taylor and Randy Blythe have both weighed in on the topic.
No shit.
I wasn't even going to bring this up, but I was like, well, here's an opportunity to, because these guys talked about it. I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents. Regardless of whether the flag represents hatred or not,
Freedom of speech.
or no, the flag is for a country that hasn't existed for 150 years. We beat that country in war, okay?
Yeah.
Are we still flying a British flag? No. You know
Well,
why?
it's not for the Brits, though. It's not
No,
for the
well,
Brits.
we were at war with the Brits. We kicked their asses. No offense, I like the Brits.
Yes.
But we don't fly their flag anymore. Why the fuck would we have a flag for a country we defeated flying in our country?
Okay.
Whether it has anything to do with hatred or not, there's no fucking reason to fly that flag.
Okay, yeah. No, that's a great point. That's a great point. But honestly, the southern states, during the Civil War, we all know it was about secession, not about slavery.
They left and formed their own country.
Yes, they did.
And then they got their ass kicked and became part of our country again.
They did, absolutely. And the Confederate flag that you see flying, the stars and bars that everybody's against,
Yeah.
that is not the Confederate flag. That is a battle flag Okay.
For a country that no longer exists.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
There's absolutely no reason.
But
Whether you can feel proud about that flag if you want to, I don't care. But don't fly it in the United States of America. If you're going to
how
fly
do you
a flag,
feel about freedom of speech?
I have no problem. But again, it's not an American flag.
It is not. You're absolutely correct.
It does not belong in this country any more than the British flag does.
Okay. But with allowing freedom of speech was written to
That's no point whatsoever.
It absolutely does.
No, if you want to fly one at your house,
it's my freedom of speech to fly.
I'm talking about the government.
What does the government have to do with it?
The United States government should not be flying a flag for another country.
Oh, okay. On government
Yes,
property.
that's all I'm talking about.
Okay, well, that I will agree with. That
You can
I will
fly.
definitely
You can
agree
fly a fucking swastika on your house if you want to.
with. Right.
You'll probably have it burned down.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I'm simply speaking from a government building perspective.
I agree
There's
with that.
no reason to fly a country.
If we are one government, if we're one government in the whole United States, yes, we should all participate.
There's one flag
in
for one
just
country.
the American flag or your country flag, your state flag, I should say.
I think it's going too far to go and pull the fucking Dukes of Hazzard off TV because of the General Lee.
Absolutely,
I fucking love the General Lee as a kid.
They're digging up a Confederate general.
Yeah, that's going too far. I'm saying the United States should not fly a Confederate flag, nor should they fly a British flag or any other fucking country.
That I agree with. But in the same breath, I agree with the freedom of speech. Okay, I agree with
it too.
Constitution.
If you want to fly one on your home, more power to you. I don't agree with it. I'm not like all like, whoa, change it. I understand why people don't like it, and
right.
Obviously, I'm not trying to infringe anybody's free speech.
That's the thing. Is freedom of speech was written to protect those that don't have popular speech.
Sure, and I believe Randy Blythe of Lamb of God actually brought that up. He's like, you can say whatever or fly whatever you want. It's a fucking free country, but it should not. And this is me speaking, not Randy. It should not fly on an American government building because
I actually agree with you. I was expecting to not agree with you on this, but I actually agree with you.
All right.
A state government should not be flying a Confederate flag.
Not at all.
But it is every individual's right to fly that Confederate flag if they feel that's what they believe.
I can fly a flag out there that says, I love big cocks.
Right.
That's my right.
Flag, the rainbow flag that the gays have been flying.
Hell yeah.
More power to them. You know what? You want to fly a rainbow flag? Go right ahead. You like taking it in the ass? Go right ahead. I don't give a shit. What you do in your own house is not my business as an American. Now, am I going to sit there and take it up the ass? No. No, I'm not. Because I'm not that way. But you want to do it? Go right ahead, man.
Yep.
I don't give two shits what you do in your own house.
All right. We're going to move on now.
Yes, we are.
There's one last news item before we get into new releases.
I have one news story.
Okay, go for it.
And it was not, looking at the name, one of our Brazilians.
Oh, yeah?
Who looks so badass.
Yeah.
But did you hear of the Hexus band member who was arrested for wearing a bullet belt on a bus?
I did.
Say what?
Really? Yeah. That's fucked up.
You said Texas?
Hexus.
No, Hexus.
Who's Hexus?
It's a band.
It's just somewhere in...
It's like not.
For
I don't see where
For
it's
wearing
at.
one of them belts with ammunition on it?
Yeah, bullet belt.
Hold on, I'll find it. Go
That's
ahead.
But
unbelievable.
in the area of Cambridge and Harvard streets.
Was it there? Oh, I didn't know it was there. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Oh, come on.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it was in Boston.
In
Boston, wow.
So,
Well,
all the badass guys we see
is pretty protective of what they're doing right now. They had the Boston bomber not long ago. They're just getting over that. So you see a guy walking around with a ammunition belt, and you probably have some questions for that guy.
probably.
Just to say.
Probably.
It's probably not. I would assume it's not live ammo. It's probably nothing in it.
Yeah, it's probably fake.
That's him on the bus with the bullet belt. Probably not smart because a lot of people, we know there's nothing in it.
Right.
But for the general public,
Yeah, but
You can't be too sure.
You can't be too sure. Yeah,
was he charged?
Yeah.
What was he charged with?
Meddle in public.
He was charged with unlawful possession of ammunition and unlawful
So it was
carry
live
dangerous
ammunition.
weapon.
It was live ammunition he was carrying.
Was it?
It doesn't say it was live.
Well, that you need to find out. If it was live ammunition, dude's got no reason to
No,
walk
see,
around
the
with it.
police
But then
determined it
again, we
was
have the
fake
right to bear
ammunition.
arms, don't we?
We're not even talking about that. I just thought it was funny.
No,
No, we're not talking about that. We're not.
We're not. But we do have the
Okay.
right to bear arms as constitutional Americans, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then why was he charged with anything? I'm sorry, Jay. I have to bring up the obvious.
Okay.
We tend to overlook the obvious.
Go ahead, George.
All right, so the last news item, I thought this was really fucking cool. Like a week or two ago, it was Shark Week on the Discovery Channel. And they were filming something, I don't remember where it was. It was probably Australia. That's where most of the sharks are in Australia. The Discovery Channel crew was trying to... they were trying to lure in great white sharks by playing different kinds of music to see if they would,
Oh, that's neat.
would come to the music. And what they were surprised to find is that great white sharks enjoy extreme death metal.
Nice.
The low guttural
yeah.
sounds are similar to the sounds of dying animals, and so the sharks are attracted to it.
Nice. Nice.
I was like, metal!
Yeah,
That's so metal.
that is cool.
So I know not to, be listening to my music while I'm in the surf, I don't want to be, munched
Oh, yeah,
on.
no doubt. Hey,
Enjoying the
we-
rays, swimming in the
Can we
bay.
give,
and
This week's new releases, here they are. Spend your hard-earned money now.
All right, let's get into some new releases. We've only got a few of them this week. This is one that we were talking about in the interview with Joel, the new album from Immortal Bird called Empress Abscess. That, of course, is Ray from Woods of Ypres and Thrawsunblat. She's a metal badass, so you should definitely check that one out.
I like this so much that this could vie for my end of the year list. That's how much I like it. But I might throw it into the whole EPs don't really fit category because I wish there was a little bit more of it. But I like what these guys are doing.
Are you talking about Orchid or Immortal Bird?
I mean, Immortal Bird. Immortal Bird.
Oh, was it an EP?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
didn't
not
know
that many
that.
songs. It's pretty short.
Duh.
All right, that shows what I know.
But I think,
No, I think
by
it
the
was
way,
a
I
full
think the
album.
Orchid is,
I think it was a full album.
Yeah, I thought it was
it
I'll go
was
look at it.
definitely an EP.
I'm
I
looking
think
it up.
the,
Go ahead. Keep on
shush.
talking.
I think the Orchid is an EP too.
Orchid is an
go
EP.
ahead.
Yeah.
right?
I could play off anything. Go ahead.
No, the Immortal Bird, it's 5 songs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's hard to say.
That's an EP as far as I'm concerned.
After long songs.
The last
so.
song's being 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yeah. But good stuff.
It's the quantity, not the quality.
Exactly. Right. No. Anyway, next up, we've got a band I know Buke is a big fan of, a band called Orchid. They've got a new EP called Sign of the Witch. Have you checked that out?
I have. This is more of what they've done before in the past. Just a real classic vintage.
It's every video I've ever watched at your house.
It's Sabbath style stuff
Yeah,
that they do.
Sabbath.
They just do it well.
Right on. Next one is one that I am particularly fond of. The new album from Powerwolf called Blessed and Possessed.
Love these guys.
Nice.
Just got the vinyl of this one. I got to say, this is a good return for them.
They kind of lost their way a little bit.
Blood of the Saints is probably my favorite album of them. And then their last one, something about the preacher, something like that, or creature, I don't know. But I didn't like it quite as much. But right away, Blessed and Possessed really fucking pulled me in, and I'm loving that one. So check that out.
What about it though pulled you in?
It's got good hooks, amazing musicianship, great vocals.
Nice.
Yeah, it's power metal, so that's the kind of stuff they have.
Okay. We'll allow
It's
it.
good though. Yeah, this is the first one I've heard. You guys have talked about it before.
Preachers
This is the
of
first
the Night.
album.
Yeah, I didn't.
Preachers of the Night. Yeah, Blood
This
of the
is good.
Saints. Check that out for sure. and then Blessed and Possessed.
Just saying, this was the first one I've gotten, and I like it.
Excellent.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Next up is an album that's not out this week, but is going to be out next week. This is the new Lamb of God, 7, Sturm and Drang.
Nice.
And
I'm gonna listen to that just because it's Lamb of God.
Yep, we've already covered this one, so check it out.
We'll see.
And finally, the last new release. I haven't really listened to this one yet, but I'm a big fan of their singer Russell Allen. This is the Symphony X album, Underworld.
Nice. Symphony X, man.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with those guys. I mean, it's Symphony and it's X.
It's Symphony and it's X. And I like symphonies and I like X. So put them together and it's like chocolate and peanut butter.
Some bitches together and we're gonna get something.
All right. We already did our top 3, so we're going to skip over that. What are we listening to? I already told you what I'm listening to, but I saved one back. But who wants to go first?
Buke.
Jay.
Yeah, I'll go first. Something we talked about every single one of them today, so I'm just going to list them. Bell Witch, Nile, new one, Chemist, Immortal Bird, and Mutoid Man, which I'm totally into right now. Still, all of those are getting pretty much more or less equal playtime for me.
Right on. Buke?
I have been listening to a lot of this Finnish band. And in fact, I've gone out and bought a couple of their vinyls. I found them, somebody was selling them cheap on eBay. A band by the name of Kalmah.
Kalmah. The Finnish band, yeah, I know that.
Finnish band, yeah. I have been really listening to their most recent album, came out in 2013, Seventh Symphony.
Yeah, I think I have that one.
Yeah, I got it on eBay for $9.
Sweet.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, they're good.
Finnish death metal band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I seem to recall it like vaguely kind of Bodemish.
Kind of, a little,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
I
right.
think really cool band with them.
I always listen to Opeth. I mean, Ghost Reveries, Deliverance. I always listen to Opeth. I just love Opeth. But I've also been getting into Pagan's Mind. What's their name? I can't remember their name, but they're another band.
Another band. All
Yes.
right.
There's another band in there.
Well,
Pagan's Mind. Pagan's Mind. Opeth. I listen to anything good. Really.
Right on. Well, I pretty much listed everything in the frickin' world earlier, but I did reserve one new release that I am listening to, and I've already mentioned it, is the new Children of Bodom album, I Worship Chaos. It's fucking killer. You know, when that comes out shortly, definitely check that out. Classics. You want to go first again, Jay?
I do. You know, I've been on the pod for a while now, and I've never mentioned this band once, and I would say they're one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time. Borderline metal, but definitely a hard rock band. And this record just turned 20 years old, and it is Monster Magnet Dopes to Infinity.
Yeah, I love me some Monster Magnet.
Yeah, and that's a great record, and it's 20 years old, if you can fucking believe that. Yeah. So that's my classic this week. Good stuff.
Right on. Puke?
Our classic. This album, I'm surprised, and I did some research because I didn't want to have a double. I didn't want to say something we have said before.
We really need to start making a list of these things. If anybody out there is a listener who would like to go through and document what each of the top threes, classics, and stuff like that we've put on the show, it would be an immense help, because every time we go to do this, I'm like, fuck, did we already talk about this one?
We haven't. Blind Guardian, Imaginations from the Other Side.
Imaginations from the other side. That's a good album.
It's such an amazing album.
Classic. That's probably my favorite Blind Guardian.
Yeah,
job.
they're on tour later this year. It's their best album. You and I share that opinion.
Yeah.
How we haven't talked
20
about it, I don't know.
And I can't believe, again, that's another one that's 20 years old. That's crazy.
Yes,
I know.
It's fucking insane.
One that I could not believe is 21 years old, and I'm going to take this in a bit of a darker direction. Fucking Mayhem de Mysteries Dom Satanas.
Nice.
Like, probably the, the black metal album that everybody's like, oh yeah, I like Mayhem,
I own this album just because it is.
I own this because people that listen to metal listen to this.
Yeah, well, I happen to really like the album, and I was listening to it again after I decided to choose it for this week, and I was like, it's funny because people are like, oh yeah, the early black metal bands like Mayhem and Dark Throne and stuff like that, and it's funny because this album, the De Mysteries Dom Satanas, is recorded actually pretty well. It is a lot better sounding than most fucking black metal albums.
Except Dead's vocals.
That's not Dead, that's Attila.
Really?
Yeah, Dead was dead when this came out.
I'm just fucking with you.
No, Attila's got some strange vocals, but the fact it remains that the production on this album is better than a lot of the stereotypical, overly reverbed black metal productions that you hear then and now. It's, to be perfectly honest, I don't think a lot of people actually really copied this sound too much. The sound that everybody copied was the early Dark Thrones, A Blaze in the Northern Sky, Under a Funeral Moon, and Transylvanian Hunger are pretty much the epitome of that, black metal sound that everybody seems to be copying.
Yeah.
And while I love Dark Throne, I fucking hate all the people, not all of them, but some of them, that copy this style. And I know Buke hates it.
But isn't that what music is? Just copying somebody you've already heard.
A lot of it.
A lot of it.
But
the majority of it.
But the Mayhem album, De Mysteries Dom Satanas, is really pretty fucking classic. And
It is, dude. Good call, George. I'm glad you pulled that one because, like you said, I'm surprised that maybe hasn't come up before. But that's a really good record, dude.
It really is.
It's got a lot of totally weird history around it. It's the beginning of a movement, really. So, yeah.
Yeah,
cool
the
record.
fact that, it's considered the beginning of a movement, but a lot of people didn't really use this style. It's a very raw style. There's no keyboards, and it's not particularly ethereal.
It's really trebly.
It's buzzsaw guitars and some goofy ass fucking vocals, and it's fucking evil. But I don't know. It's weird that.
Well, just to show that not all metalheads just listen to metal. I'm gonna list mine. It's Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Jimi Hendrix, and that's because they led the way for metal. If you listen to any metal song, you can listen and hear that songs that have been created by these guys are being played to this day.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jay.
that's the way influences work.
Jay's got something to say.
No.
They're under the influences.
I don't speak sign language.
I'm just having fun with the camera.
Oh, hey.
Here you go. Give me a B.
That may be George's greatest line ever, and it's probably going to be. You better keep it in.
Let's move on to our vinyl acquisitions. All right, so Jay, what do you got for a vinyl this time?
I got a pretty big list. I'm going to read through it, but there's a couple I got to say some stuff about. So, first of all, just for lots of different reasons, picked all these up this week or last few weeks. Black Sabbath, Paranoid, didn't have that. AC/DC, For Those About to Rock, which, by the way, sounds killer on a reissue vinyl.
Doesn't it?
Trollfest, yeah, it really sounds great. Trollfest, Broom Blabassen, which was cool because apparently that band does their own mail order, and they sent me like a signed postcard and a guitar pick with a record. Very cool.
Awesome.
I got both of the Mutoid Man albums, Bleeder and Helium Head. Just talking about Monster Magnet, I just got Monster Magnet Milking the Stars, which is basically a reimagining. Yeah, and it really is, by the way. It's a very interesting, very good record. I got King Diamond, Abigail Live.
Sweet.
And I just got two, and I got Motorhead, Orgasmatron, and then I got two what I would call proto-metal records, stuff. I got Fleetwood Mac Live in Boston, which is old Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green, and it's got, what do you call it, Green Manalishi on it and stuff. Really highly recommended to people who are into the roots of metal. And I also picked up MC5, Kick Out the Jams, which is a great fucking record. Now, finally, I have to distract you guys to the camera. People at home can't see this, but I finally got this in the mail. And this is the most dude, such a beautiful package. Look, it's got a black slip. This is Sulfur Eon Gateway to the Antisphere. It's got a black slip cover.
Awesome.
Look at the fucking artwork on this thing, man.
I was actually just looking at that online yesterday because I was going to buy it.
Comes with a poster. Comes with this is a lyric book. Comes with a poster, and then there's like a super kick-ass etching on the last record. I'm telling you, not going to be a nicer package than this year.
I got your nicer package right here.
And what'd you get, Buke?
Recently, since we've done the podcast last, found a King Diamond that I used. Found Bull Thrower, Mercenary, Lamb of God, Sacrament. Finally got my hands on Bloodbath, their EP on Blessing the Purity. Thanks to George looking out for me.
Hell yeah.
I got a King Diamond Conspiracy reissue. Got a couple of cheap $2 buys. Van Halen, Fair Warning.
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen 2. Those are both $2 each.
Yeah.
This was 50 cents. Poison, open up and say ah.
Hey, Buke, you paid too much for that.
Hey, you have to have it.
I know, I'm giving you shit.
Mono Lord, Vanier, however you want to fucking say it.
I want to fucking... that's another thing, if people want to go back and make a little compilation of audio based on the podcasts, go through and find all the words that Buke said wrong.
Hey.
I didn't call...
They can have an hour of me saying Amon Amarth.
You can have a whole separate cast.
Last episode, and I didn't call you out on it because I was probably not as with it as I should have been. The Shape of Despair album, he called it Monotony Fields. The word, it's monotony. I don't mean to bust your balls, but it's funny. I'm laughing with you, not at you. And I was like, monotony. Monotony is like Black Sabbath. There's one Tony in Black Sabbath. It's monotony. But otherwise, it's monotony.
He's not laughing at you, but I'm laughing directly at you.
I got Metallica S&M. I love that album.
Yeah, it's great.
And finally, trying to finish off, I have studio albums for Opeth finished. But I finally got their Opeth in live concert at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Whoa. Hey, hold on there. I'm a little crushed, Buke. There's no way you didn't get at least one copy of a vinyl record today.
I got Jungle Rot today, Terror Regime.
You're welcome.
From Jay. Fuck yes. I did.
Jay's the man.
I love
Jungle Rot.
Still Jungle Rot. I don't hear a lot of talk about them, but they keep churning out albums.
Yep, they do. All right, so...
George's like, yeah, they do, and it still sucks.
No, I like Jungle Rot. So my vinyl acquisitions this time, as I already mentioned, I got the new Power Wolf, Blessed and Possessed.
Excellent.
I also picked up the new High on Fire, Luminiferous, which love it or fuck off.
I also got the new Valkyrie album also.
Yep, I got that. That's on my list too, the Valkyrie Shadows. I got the 25-year limited edition silver relapse version.
Nice. That's the most epic version.
It is the most epic version. I also got Bastard Sapling's second album, Instinct is Forever. As soon as I heard that shit on the beach, I ordered that on Discogs right away. It was waiting for me when I got home. I also picked up the Lord Dying Poisoned Altars album. I ordered that on Bandcamp. Fucking killer album. It's funny, we sort of skipped over this, but my current number one album of the year, the one that I wasn't allowed to talk about on the last episode, is the new Between the Buried and Me album, Coma Ecliptic. This album is fucking amazing.
Nice.
It is.
He didn't let you talk about it?
No. It was because it didn't come out until after the episode. I had the promo, so I heard it, but I didn't want it included in the list because it wasn't out yet.
Oh, I got you.
And I was like holding my legs together like I had to pee. I wanted to talk about it so badly. It's so different from what they have done in the past, and yet it is pretty damn awesome. It's their The Wall or The Dark Side of the Moon or any other like timeless epic album. It is really good. And part of what sold me, it started off and I was like, All right, that's different. And then what I think of it as a combination of BT Bam, Between the Buried and Me themselves, combined with a little Pink Floyd, only from the storytelling aspect. My Chemical Romance, oddly enough, the Black Parade album, for the theatrical aspect of it. And then fucking Voivod.
Voivod.
Yes, because in the title song and what the hell's it called? Dim Ignition. There's all this stuff where it's kind of like staccato, like dun 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 dun, and it's very Voivod. I mean, he sings it better than Snake ever did, but it is. I swear there's got to be a Voivod influence in there. If not, then it's uncanny that there may be. There's a couple songs on there that it's very Voivod, and to me that was the clincher. I fucking love this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, dude. I like it too, by the way. You guys turned me onto this, and I'm into this record. It's really good. I
think they're going to catch a lot of hell because of how different it is, but fuck them. I don't care. Right now, this is number one for the year.
Yeah, it's great.
And my final vinyl acquisition, courtesy of Mr. J, my 1349th album in my collection from 1349, Beyond the Apocalypse.
I really hope you didn't keep from buying vinyl while you were waiting for that, but I like being a part of your life that way. So yeah, definitely do.
Yeah, when Jay found out that I was nearing that number, he insisted on picking this up for me so that it could be my 1349th album. And as luck would have it, it arrived right after my 1348th. Nice. So that was perfect. Cool. I am back to buying vinyl now, but I documented it. It's up on the Facebook page.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
So thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
not at all. I was telling George that I also bought him a copy of 10,000 Days, but he's not going to get that obviously for quite a while.
I'm motivated now.
Yeah, you're going to get rolling, dude.
I'm going to go out and just buy a shit ton of dollar ones.
There's plenty out there.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we've got a new segment for you that Jay came up with. I'll let Jay talk about it.
Yeah, I'll be brief. I just feel like, as metal fans, there's always, especially like when I was a kid, but even now, people would come up to me and they'd be, as other metal fans or friends and stuff, people who didn't really know heavy metal, they'd be like, "Hey, do you like Judas Priest, man?" And then they would say something like about I got another thing coming. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, come on, dude. You know what I mean?
A little deeper.
So you're not really a metal fan, is what you're telling me. But my point is there are a lot of great classic records out there that have what I call deep cuts on them, songs that are deep in the record that people may not know about or don't pay attention to. And so we're going to pick one every week. We're all going to pick. It doesn't have to be a well-known record, but just in some cases, I think it will be. And to kick it off, just to show you what I mean, my first one is off of Ozzy Osbourne's Diary of a Madman. Most people would think of Flying High Again off of that, or Over the Mountain. Fine, those are good songs, whatever. But one of my favorite Ozzy songs of all time is on that record. It's called SATO. Such a good fucking song. One of my favorite Ozzy songs, and it's the epitome of the deep cut. Or
I always forget about that one.
It's great, right?
Yeah, because it's like back in the day, it was on the second side of the tape. And, you wanted to listen to the first side for the really good stuff. And I would, what else is on that side? Like Little Dolls or something?
Well, the title track, which is a great song.
Right. Yeah.
But, and I should also say, Buke, what I meant to say was, it's the epitome of a deep cut.
It's the epitome.
So that's mine. And we're rolling. That's a good way to inaugurate this. Let's see what you boys got.
Bukey.
This is off of Judas Priest's fourth studio album, Stained Class. This is a track that I fucking love. It's not a heavy one at all. But this is track number 8, Beyond the Realms of Death.
Yep. As a matter of fact, Buke, a lot of people agree with you because they pulled that out and are doing that live the last couple of tours.
I fucking love Rob Halford singing on this song. I think it spotlights him and his vocal abilities. Amazing. It's just a real simple song.
See, because that's on like a greatest hits album, and I'm not knocking.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but that was where I had trouble with this. I thought it was a great idea, and then I started trying to think of stuff, and I was like, well, from my perspective, if it's a song I love, I assume everybody loves it because I don't, and I won't know well, maybe it's a deep cut.
So I didn't know this was on the greatest hit. I've never heard talk about this or it.
Yeah,
well,
but
it's like on
George,
the Metalworks.
That's
like
because
collection.
you're you, George. Though, trust me, your deep cuts. Are
deep.
A lot of people don't listen to the records while we listen to records. A lot of guys do, and a lot of guys don't. So actually, I'm going to put stamp of approval on Bukes because most people would think of that record for like Exciter and a couple of the other tunes on it.
Oh, sure. I'm not knocking it. I was just like.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like bringing up the fact that I had a little bit of trouble with this. I didn't think I was going to. And
but Jay, do you like this song though?
I got to tell you, actually, Buke, I'm glad we're talking about it because that's my favorite Judas Priest record.
Oh, yeah,
and I love that song. It's a great fucking song. But I hear what you're saying, George. So which makes me all the more interested to hear yours.
Well, mine's kind of a wah cop out because I was questioning everything that I came up with and I just ran out of time. But I did choose a track that I really like that it seems like nobody else likes. Perfect. And it has always bothered me and just confused me as to why they never play this song live. In fact, the band apparently hates the song, but I love this song. From their second album, Metallica, Ride the Lightning. The song is called Escape.
Oh, no, that's a great example, dude. That's perfect.
It's a great example, George.
I fucking love that song. How it like fucking completely changes like 3/4 of the way through and it just goes into this boom, bring the hammer down, I fucking love that.
And they hate it. You're right.
They hate it.
But that's George, you couldn't have done better because that's like everybody would tell you
a couple years ago at the Orion Fest, and I think that may have been.
Yeah, I read that they hated the song, and I was like, why? Yeah. I love that. I mean, I realize it's kind of, compared to the rest of the album, it's maybe a little more commercial sounding.
Escape currently holds the record for going the longest without being played in its entirety live, within all songs written by Metallica, with 27 years, 10 months, and 28 days being played.
But I'm happy to go on record and say I love that song. And yeah, dude, it doesn't get much deeper than that, George.
Okay, so I accidentally picked a good one.
On their wiki, Metallica themselves have a strong dislike for the song, as do some of their diehard fans. One reason may be the fact that its structure and sound isn't very typical of a thrash metal song, nor are the catchy chorus and simple guitar hooks.
But the lyrics are so cool, man.
Escape has a mainstream sound reminiscent of Metallica's Post and Justice for All era.
Life's for my own to live my own way. I mean, come on. I was a teenager and I was like, yeah, life's for my own to live my own way. Fuck yeah, Metallica.
Yeah, and it makes that record more interesting. That's just what I'm talking about, man. There's a lot of bands even though are like that. They kind of distance themselves from some of the really cool things that happened in their various records, and that's
George is the metal fan at that Metallica show in 2012 at the Orion Fest when they played it.
Going, finally!
Yeah, George is the guy whose head is fucking exploding because it's being fucking played.
And everybody else.
That's the definition of a deep track right there, George.
When everybody else is in line at the bathroom and George is out there by himself.
Yes. Yeah! Yes, that's the definition of a deep track.
Yeah, it's like the Sentenced show, and it was just me.
Okay, boys. Well,
wow. Well,
fucking great day.
This is a pretty long episode as well.
But we haven't done one in a couple weeks, so
yeah, this if you've been hankering for some Metalheads podcast and you haven't had it, break it up in little chunks. Do an hour a week. I will not be here next week, so but the week after that we can do one. So, hold on to this one for an extra week. But, this was a great episode. I was so happy to get together with everybody. And it was a great interview with Joel from Thrawsunblat. If you haven't heard these guys yet, you definitely need to check them out. They are absolutely one of my favorite bands, and I cannot recommend them enough.
Cool. It's good to talk metal again, boys.
Yes, it is. Before we go, anything else? Anybody?
Nope, just thank you again for Jay and George us getting back together.
Right on. All right. So before we go, make sure you check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on Stitcher. And of course, you can listen to us on metalheadspodcast.com. I've been neglecting to talk about this, but I made a point of wanting to talk about it this time. I am begging you to go on iTunes and give us some reviews. We love all the interaction that we've been getting with people lately. It makes
our day, dude. It makes our day.
It makes our day to hear from people. And it's kind of slightly embarrassing how pathetic our iTunes reviews are. Like, there's like 3 of them, I think. So if you could do us a favor and go out there and hit up the iTunes and leave us some reviews.
Because that's how iTunes is what most people use for podcasts.
Yeah.
Please leave us a review.
Even if you don't use iTunes, it'll help us. If you want more of this, well, we're going to do it anyway. But, we'd really like to be able to get this out to more people. And the more people that review it, the more people will see it. So we would desperately appreciate it if you would go out and write a review. Even if it's to tell us we fucking suck, just something to get it on there. So please, please, please go review on iTunes.
I tell you what, we're going to do some contests in the future where very soon we're talking about this. But the first 5 people who give us comments on iTunes, I will, on my own dime, pay the shipping and send you a free Catatonic Society CD.
There we go.
Each of the 5?
Each of the 5, all 5 people, first 5 comments. And then we're going to have some contests in the future where we're giving away other people's records. But I just happen to have a box of those in my house, and I'm happy to send you one.
Well, damn. How
Yeah.
can you beat that?
You cannot beat that, and we will work out how we get in touch with each other when you get up there.
All right. So do it. Get your free Catatonic Society.
Damn.
All right. We are about to call it a day. But before we go, we've got another little segment for you with Joel from Thrawsunblat. He is going to talk a little bit about the last song that we're going to play. And so we'll get into that now, and we will talk to you next time. All right. Here we are at the end of the episode. And as we usually do, we're going to send you off with a song. This is another song from Thrawsunblat, from their Wanderer on the Continent of Saplings. This is the song called Song of the Nihilist. Joel, can you give us a little more insight into this one?
Sure. Yeah, so this is kind of, I mentioned earlier that the whole album ends up following sort of the monomyth, which is, to give everybody else sort of who hasn't heard of that, it's basically the plot structure that, Joseph Campbell mentioned that pretty much all myth sort of follows. Anyway, George Lucas used it for Star Wars. So
Yeah.
to bring it all back, right here, the Song of the Nihilist is, it's tough to have a boss battle in music, but this is sort of like, the Wanderer meeting the big villain or whatever, that sort of thing.
The Nihilist.
The Nihilist. Yeah,
Mega
exactly.
Man level 1-3. Yes, let's do it.
Exactly. and so it's and it's sort of turning, the first half of the song is pretty
Dark.
I mean, that's probably some of the most depressing lyrics I've ever heard in my life, and then the second half of it, turns all around in the Nihilist's face, and so yeah, I really like this tune. So
Yeah, that's why it brought tears to my eyes yesterday. I was like, and to take it back to the Star Wars reference for the monomyth, it's like you said, the first half of the song is the bad guy, and then the second half of the song is the good guy sort of turning it around, and it's like Han Solo swooping in at the end of Star Wars to ding Darth Vader so Luke can blow up the Death Star. It's that whole yes moment, that where you kind of tear up a little bit because you're like, yes. And that's the way I felt.
thanks so much. You get it. That's fantastic. That's awesome.
All right. Well, we're going to thank Joel once again, and we'll play the song, and we'll see you next time.